is going to be our casual Sunday live stream. If we can get everything working. The technological challenges get exponentially more challenging the more people you add. All right.
Good evening, everyone.
Guys, let us know how the audio is. We're live now for just a chill Sunday evening live stream with the man himself, Mr. Chrono.
It's actually CR Hono now.
Yeah,
Is that how I'm
Chrono.
spelling it? Yeah.
See, okay, here's the thing though. If you're fixing the thumbnail right now, right?
I am fixing the thumbnail right now because people have caught on to the typos I've made. And so if you hear clicking in the background, I do apologize, but I need to fix this thumbnail because the typos drive me crazy, and I'm sure it's going to drive some of the fellas out there crazy. So
Yeah.
there we go.
We are a picky bunch, and we notice things like that. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to also be the one who edits the thumbnail, because yeah, I'm not able to.
Yeah, sure, I got it. Don't worry.
All right. So what's up, everybody?
Hello.
Mic's working.
Welcome. Good evening.
Welcome,
Or morning,
Scott
depending on
Fletcher.
where
Good
you
to
are.
see you. Seeing them. Yeah, listeners here. Rob's here. Familiar names. There's somebody named Sundara. That's awesome.
That's who caught onto the typo.
Ah.
That's why I'm redoing the thumbnail. It's because of them specifically.
You know you have a passion for this this hobby when you name yourself after your favorite headphones.
I mean, for a while we were the Sundara channel with all the revisions.
Oh God. I mean, there was only one.
2020.
It was to the
Yeah,
past.
but there was no end to people commenting about the
Yeah.
revision though.
Well, you know what happened? I'm pretty sure I know what happened there. And it's that there was a revision sometime into 2019, 2020. And then after that, I think there were some like retail outlets that started calling them 2021 or 2021 models, even though because they were from 2021, but they were the same. And so then it started basically a revision war.
But you know, ever since then, I feel like Hifiman has just really, I mean, they've really taken the revisions to the next level. I mean, everybody loves the stealth magnets.
Well, this is what I kind of learned, I guess, being in the industry now for a bit. You know, when you see it from the outside, products, specific headphone models, they're sort of thought of as like iconic things, right? Like Sennheiser HD600s, Sennheiser HD650s. But like,
Right.
think about how many different manufacturing processes there have been for those headphones. You know, based on how many different runs they have, and now I think they're built in Ireland. So they've changed where they're actually making them, and like this stuff, like I bet. I mean, I know that the tolerances are tight for all this stuff, but like I bet even just like the tiniest little change, in manufacturing process results in some sort of downstream effects. So
I mean, probably.
I think that there's, even for stuff that we don't know, right? Like for all of our favorite brands, for stuff that we don't know, I bet that there's like silent revisions that are out there, and we haven't picked up on it.
How many Sony XM5s are there?
That's a good question. By the way, I'm drinking. I'm not sure what you're drinking, but I'm drinking this. This is called an Olé.
What is Olay?
I mean, you should know what Olé is.
Let me
This
see.
is
What is that?
Olé.
Olay. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, sure. There was some Olay chanting going on during the World Cup, but
That's
I don't know. I don't
exactly.
know the drink. I say like a canned margarita.
Exactly. These are fantastic, by the way. That's Olé Cocktail Company. They do.
I
This is the margarita, yeah. So with lime, and I think yeah, and tequila and lime basically. And I feel like they also added salt, so you actually get the full margarita experience from a can.
Charming. I have apple juice.
That's not the same. You should go get some
No.
rum.
Actually, I'm kidding. That's bourbon. It's not
Oh,
apple
okay.
juice. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you could say it's
You can
bourbon.
say that you can tell that it's the evening stream. Although, actually, funny you should mention. I, being a Caribbean man, it might seem a little stereotypical, but indeed, rum is my drink of choice on the rocks. So there you have it.
Are
Now
you
everybody
really
knows what.
Caribbean
Yeah,
man?
I know, but people think I'm Middle Eastern or something most of the time.
I thought you were Chilean.
I am South American, but I'm also Caribbean, and then um, Scott Pledger, it's Belay bourbon. I think here I'm gonna spell it in chat. I thought you were a gamer. I am a gamer, big time gamer.
Belay bourbon.
Yeah, Belay bourbon.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what it's. I mean, that the brand's Belay, and then it's their bourbon.
It's bullet,
So
man.
we have it.
It's
Now,
bullet.
now you know that
Elite.
Chrono's Belite. My bad. I'm bad with pronouncing things about even headphone names. But now you know that my favorite headphone is the HC100S, and that my drink of choice is rum. Congratulations, we're friends now.
But you're actually drinking bourbon.
Yeah, it was some variety is good every now and then. You know?
Yeah, that's fair. All right, well,
Yeah.
it seems like all the audio and technological shit is working, so that's good. Here we pronounce it the same as bullet. Yeah, I pronounce it bullet as well.
Is it? I genuinely thought it was Belay. I was not trying to be funny.
Oh, okay.
It's Bullet.
Yeah. I can't imagine how you pronounce Odyssey.
Oddies.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about some headphones and stuff.
Yes.
So you're wearing the Meze 109 Pros.
Ah, yes, the Meze.
And I'm wearing the Focal Bathies, which is this is actually my go-to headphone these days. It's fantastic, with my very specific, picky equalizer APO settings.
Really?
I will share it at some point with other folks who have this one. I'm finding this is my daily driver. Maybe I should do a video on this at some point. This is the one that I use more than anything. I mean, I guess it's not true because like there's other headphones back there that are like open back, high end, things. But I go with these more than anything else these days.
Funny you should say that because I'm actually also wearing what are currently my daily driver. It's the Meze 109 Pros.
Yeah, that's.
I've been ever since I got the review unit you guys shipped out. I have not been able to put these down. They're just so comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they perform as well as the Clear if we're talking technical performance, but I do prefer their FR.
Yeah.
And just the comfort, like I spend so much time working at my desk or gaming and whatnot, and this is just ear pillows. It's a godsend.
So, do you EQ them?
I do, but I don't have Equalizer APO installed right now. I don't know if you remember, I like redid my computer build.
Right.
And I forgot to install it actually. Thank you for reminding me. So that's why they don't sound as good as before.
Yeah, I've actually been using Equalizer APO without the PCUI, just the regular one. And the benefit there is that you can specify the Q value for shelf filters. Whereas I think with Peace, you're locked into 1.41 or something.
No. You can dial in the Q value for shelf filters.
And Peace as well?
Yeah. Is that, well, you have two options. You have the fixed one, which is 0.7, and then you also have the you also have the specific Q one. So there's two different shelf options for the high shelf and low shelf.
It's interesting because when I use PCUI, it locks it for me. It grays it out.
You might have to like.
Maybe I need
you might have an older version. Yeah, you might have an older version.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody asked a question I liked. Favorite song or album from 2022? That one's easy for me.
What is it?
Mirrorball.
Wait, does it have to come out in 2022?
I think so. Did it have to? It was John T?
T.
Did it have to be a song from 2022 or just in general? Because my Spotify Wrapped is a little embarrassing, but and it's not music from 2022.
Right.
Do you have one?
Let's just say not from 2022, because like I'm not really into modern music. But
okay.
Okay. Yeah. It's the nice to see you guys. How's the weather down there? I see you. You guys look like ants from my ivory tower, listening to, esoteric jazz from the 50s and 60s. No, I'm just kidding. I don't actually, because the problem with the older music is that the recording quality is bad. So I do.
Actually, speaking of older music though, like some of the like big rock hits, like the Beatles, the stuff that got remixed in between 2017 and like 2022. Yeah, some of that stuff has been like remixed really well. Some of those mixes sound quite modern actually. It's pretty impressive.
Right. Right. Okay. Favorite song that I got into in 2022. That's a tough one, man. Hmm. Because like I feel like sometimes when I'm evaluating headphones, like the music discovery journey starts to stagnate. I don't know if you're like this, but like I get a headphone and I'm like, okay, how does this sound with all the things that I know extremely well, like how they sound on, or how the song sounds on like all kinds of other different headphones. So I don't go down the rabbit hole as much anymore because I've got my list of stuff, but
Right.
stuff that's new. I okay, this is not what I normally listen to, but I've been enjoying the latest Catatonia album, which is sort of like a I don't know what to call it. It's not like it's sort of like metal. It's metal, but it's not like super aggressive metal. It's more like chilled out kind of metal. I don't know how else I'd describe that. And then also I've been getting into some Niels Fram, but the thing with Niels Fram is that like I never know the names of the songs or the albums because they're not, you know, it's kind of like you listen to the whole album and it's just sort of like an experience, and you don't like this. There aren't any hits or anything like that. So
Um,
yeah,
well, let's see. For me, I mean, if I had to choose a song from 2022, it'd be "There Better Be a Mirror Ball" by the Arctic Monkeys from the new album, "The Car." And
dude,
I ended up getting concert tickets to see them next year.
dope.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm really excited for that. But probably the album that was most on repeat was actually "Where the Light Is" by John Mayer, which is an album from 2007. But I hadn't gotten into John Mayer, even though I'm a guitarist. I didn't get into John Mayer
Yeah,
until like early last year because I went to his concert in February for the Sob Rock tour, and
right,
then went again in May. So I saw him twice.
nice.
So a lot of John Mayer. If you ask me anything right now, John Mayer, pretty much.
John Mayer and this is gonna sound weird, but I mean you and I both know that John Mayer is quite good, but I feel like there's a misperception of John Mayer out there, because of some of the cheesier style, I guess, that he's known for. But he's very,
Yeah,
very talented. Um, so it's a
yeah.
very respectable pick.
Thank you, thank you. You know,
Yeah.
some of his music's on the newer album is the Sob Rock, pretty well recorded. I use it for testing every now and then.
Oh, nice. All right.
Those snares on Wild Blue
Okay.
sound pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that like really grabbed my attention for music. I find myself like kind of bouncing back and forth with older stuff that I hadn't listened to in a long time and rediscovering a lot of that. That's probably what I spent most of my time doing for as far as like music discovery. It's, oh yeah, I hadn't listened to that in a long time. Um, a lot of my old sort of jazz favorites. Um,
I'm gonna check. I want to check my Spotify rap now. I can't remember what it was.
oh yeah, that's the
I,
thing. Yeah,
yeah. But do you not use Spotify at all?
I
I use it
do.
only. I
I
use it in the car.
I use Spotify again now because my Qobuz account is lost.
Um,
So much sadness.
I
Um,
have. Here's the thing. I have like a ton of like Spanish music. I don't know if
that's good.
anybody's interested in Spanish music out there, but there's a lot of Spanish music. If you want recommendations, I got a few.
Mm,
A lot of Coldplay too, because I forgot, but I also went to the Music of the Spheres concert this year. A lot of concerts. They're very
yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Um, okay, I have one. I have one. Al Di Meola. I've been going on a Al Di Meola adventure. um,
Have you heard of him before, or like
oh no, no,
is that
I'm
recent?
a
Yeah.
fan of his stuff, but a lot of the albums that I didn't listen to before, I've been getting into now. So like I've always enjoyed the Al Di Meola plays Piazzolla. That's one of my favorite albums. It's not the most well recorded, for flamenco guitar, but I love the songs, and it's just Al Di Meola and someone playing a cajon. So they got the cajones going in the background. um, but like I'll listen to that album, and then Spotify sort of takes you on like a journey, and it's like all kinds of Al Di Meola stuff. So
Oh, I love the Spotify algorithm. It's like
yeah,
the
it's
coolest
it's
thing ever.
it's the reason, like, I don't know, like, yeah, I don't like the whole MQA thing with Tidal, and Golden's expose on that was interesting and eye-opening, but that wasn't really the reason why I stopped using Tidal. It was because it wasn't really any better than Spotify, like practically. and then it also wasn't buffering well enough. Like it would start buffering. It wasn't, streaming well enough. So I figured might as well go back to Spotify, enjoy the Spotify algorithm, and
I mean, it's great for music discovery. I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, Rune has a pretty good music discovery algorithm. Like you start auto playing stuff on Rune, but
yeah,
I know most people probably don't want to fork out an additional $120 a year, or
Yeah.
I think it's like 600 for the lifetime subscription.
Well, if I can get my Cobus account back, I'm gonna go back to Rune. So
Yeah.
only that much. Should we get into some questions here, guys? Let's drop some Q&A. I have some questions that we'll get into, but I wanna get some questions from the chat. Now is the time, folks.
Yeah.
I see from someone asks, "What's your favorite zombie movie?"
Mm. Do you have a favorite zombie movie?
28 Days Later. Well, 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later. The sequel is really good too.
I can't say if I've ever watched a zombie movie.
Fair enough.
I mean, it sounds bad, but I'm not like a big film dude. And I mean, like just recently, like 13 years after its release, I got around to watching Inglourious Basterds, and that was great. That's not a zombie movie.
Dude, that's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, and I just finally watched it like literally 2 weeks ago, which is crazy. I was like, I've been missing out so much. Next, I gotta watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But
Yeah, I like all of Tarantino's stuff, but Inglourious Basterds is probably his best, in my opinion.
it's so fun and so tense, and it's just such a beautiful picture. Actually, you can probably see them like in a crowded space. This was not originally my office. You guys probably wouldn't have noticed because I made the setting for the desk the same as it was in an old room, but I used to be in a bigger room. So back then I had bought this OLED TV, which is now kind of big for the room. I have to every time I want to use it, I have to move like the couches behind me back.
Yeah.
But it looks great on that. Like, it's just so beautiful. The colors and the scenes, it was just impressive.
Yeah.
Joy to watch.
It's such a well-crafted. I love that about his style of movies, and just people who make movies like that.
Oh yeah, totally.
Which is like this conscious like crafting of every scene. I recently rewatched the Batman, so the most recent one with
Oh yeah,
and like
Robert
it's
Pattinson.
Yeah, and it's still full of like all the traditional sort of superhero cheeseball stuff, right? But man, if that isn't ever like a fantastically well crafted movie, like every scene is well crafted, and they do pacing so unbelievably well. Like the car chase scene in that is like one of the best ever, and it does such a good job of paying homage to like, Dirty Harry movies or film noir, like all that.
Love the soundtrack
aesthetic.
as well. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah. The Ave Maria, slightly twisted, is so good. But yeah, I'm trying to think. That's pretty much it for movies that I've been into lately. I saw Scott Pledger says he's listening to Sisvara and likes The Expanse more. That's we have to agree to disagree on that one, my dude. But you still haven't heard The Expanse.
I have not.
Yeah.
When can I try one?
Yeah, we'll send one over at some point. Yeah, I don't know if it's like just me or what, but for whatever reason, like whatever's going on with those high-end DCAs, like the metamaterials thing, like the sophisticated waveguide thing, just really doesn't work for me. So
I think it's not too much of a stretch to say that I think the team here at headphones.com would probably choose the Noir out of all of the
all of us preferred,
headphones.
All of our reviewers who've heard it preferred the Noir, I think.
Like that's probably like our go-to DCA headphone.
Yeah, I think that's the best one.
We're like, that's great. That's really great.
Yeah. And for me, I think it's a matter of just the treble being a bit too subdued and too dark for me. But my complaint was about the staging feeling really weird. But I think that's something that like if you messed around with EQ, maybe you could affect it and improve it.
Yeah, to try it, so we'll see.
Yeah, for me, I couldn't get into it. But if you're liking it, Scott, that's awesome. That's cool to hear. Um, let's see what's next. Some other questions here. Best headphone recommendation under $400? What's 400? We don't do 400. We only do like 200 and 500.
I feel like most headphones under 400 perform similar, but there are, when you think percentage-wise, there's pretty significant price gaps between them. Like I'd say like something like an HD560S is comparable to a DT1990 Pro, but the DT1990 Pro is anywhere from $400 to $600.
Okay. In your opinion,
yes.
560S, how does that compare to an HD600? For the subjective qualities, right? Let's just say. Like, we know what the FR differences are. We know the tuning differences. The 560 is like more well extended in the bass and has a spicier kind of like lower treble.
Yeah. It's got like 5.5, 6K like kind of bump.
I think it's 4 to 6 basically. Yeah.
Yeah. There's some like low treble sibilance there for sure. And it's not as pronounced as on the HD600. I remember people used to say like the HD650 was warm, but then the HD600 had like the treble spikes, and like I don't hear that. Like there's still such delectable warm headphones overall, but you definitely do get some spiciness on the HD560S, right? And if I'm just listening to music alone, I think I would prefer the HD600. I mean, that is just tuning wise. I think that is.
Sure, but for, well, I'm asking this about, because like we're talking about like, you're saying how a lot of headphones under $400 perform similarly.
Yeah.
But the 560S compared to the HD600 for me, and not just HD600, but also the 650 and the 660S, the 560S is more soundstagey, but less detailed, less separated, less controlled. Does that track with your experience?
Definitely. I mean, but there are qualities that I mean, yeah, the soundstage is better. I find the imaging to be miles better on the 560S as well. But when it comes to technical performance and resolution, similar dynamics, but there's a graininess to it. I'm sorry, I know that's a very not very well defined term, but it's definitely not as resolving.
And this is even after EQ.
After EQ and even on like low end, higher end source equipment, like it's. Consistently, I find that the cleaner overall image comes from the HD600.
Yeah.
That being said, which headphone do I think is more versatile? It would be the HD560S. So if you do things like, I don't know, gaming on top of just listening to music, I would go with the HD560S, right? Plus, it's a bit less expensive, easier to drive, and that sort of stuff. But for music, I mean, there's a reason the HD600 is still like the benchmark.
Yeah.
It's just such a lovely headphone.
Yeah, I think my pick for under 400. I mean, it probably depends on if you have an amplifier, but it would most likely be HD600.
Really?
Well,
that's
Sundara...
that's news to me because I've heard Sundara for the past 2 years.
Well, so right, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. The Sundara, I think, is still, it has that planar instrument separation capability, right? That I just love. But I do think that the benefits of that HD600 natural tonality, timbre, all that stuff, all the things that we love the HD600 for, are the things that I don't know, I feel more drawn to these days. Even though I will grant, the better bass extension on the Sundara, better instrument separation on the Sundara, slightly more relaxed ear gain on the Sundara, which I prefer as well. Just there's something about that as a referencey style, headphone that I just love. And like I recently had the opportunity to side by side again. I mean, we've also done this, but like HD650 with fresh pads, HD600 with fresh pads, and Sundara. And out of those three, I was like, you know what? I got a hard time not going with the HD600s.
It's just so lovely sounding, isn't it?
It
is.
I
find that the presentation, actually, I find that from when listening to music, the small soundstage and the way it distinguishes instrument lines, it's a very good presentation. It works well.
Yeah.
It's holistically, it is just a fabulous experience. And that's why, you see people who will listen to things like the Utopia and they'll go back to the HD600.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying an HD600 is better than Utopia. Please don't take me out of context.
Yeah.
But you know, there's some it delivers a specific sort of experience, and it's
Yeah.
great for what it does if you're into it, right? So
Yeah. I mean, I also, it's also like when I feel like maybe like when I was first getting into headphones, I was like chasing the soundstage dream, you know,
yeah.
and those headphones weren't suitable, right? And this is where headphones like the Sendara or Edition XS and like many other Beyerdynamic headphones are all far superior. But I find myself just not giving a shit about soundstage like at all these days. Like I know it matters. I know that like having some sense of space is an important thing. But like I find myself caring so much less about that quality these days.
I take imaging over soundstage.
You take imaging
And
over soundstage?
and that like image separation.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
yeah,
like that. Yeah, I
Oh,
feel like that
definitely.
goes a
Yeah,
long way. Definitely.
yeah. And this is where I feel that the Beyerdynamics, they're not actually that great at instrument separation. They're good at image placement,
Oh yeah.
but their image separation is not that great. And the Sendara is much better. The HE600 is better at image separation as well, for me.
So basically, to wrap up this question, I will apologize for being a bit of a copycat, but favorite headphone under $400 or my go-to would be the HD600. It
We have
just
a winner.
bangs. Yes, prime listening experience,
Yeah,
certified plus guaranteed.
yeah.
HD600. There you
I
go.
was. There's stuff that I can't talk about, but I was listening to a headphone that I can't talk about
Ew.
recently, and it was, I think, around that price point, and I remember thinking to myself, like, these HD 600s and I guess 650s as well, like they kind of ruin everything else at that price point, like except for the Sendara, I think, because and Edition XS there, because it's like for people who want those planars with that instrument separation, but like I feel like that price range is such a challenge for anybody to get into, given the HD 600.
And I feel like I don't know if I've talked about this on stream. It's been like at least a year and a half since I've been on stream, but because of that, which you just commented, that it's that they're so good at that price. I feel like there's hardly anything that come close to it, except for the Sundar. Actually, I remember I did like a mid-fi roundup, and I
Yeah,
said the HD600s are the classic and the go-to, and then the Sundar is a modern classic. It's like, and like the choice is basically you have your good planar or your good dynamic driver headphone.
yeah.
Not good, great. Because there are other good headphones, I should say,
Yeah.
under $400. But those are like, I think, they stand above the rest. And there's sort of like this thing, right? I feel like there's always been this gap where it's like HD600, and then to get a real upgrade or to get a very, very significant upgrade, you're spending $1,000 or over $1,000,
Yeah.
right? From those headphones. Like there's not much really between $400 to $1,000. You start getting some really nice things like you get the OG Clear, the Celesti. I think the Radiance on sale is like under 1,000, or the LCD2 obviously, which is excellent
Yeah.
as well. But there's really not much. So
There is a bit of a no man's land in there. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean these are kind of in there,
Yeah.
sort of.
Yeah.
But
See,
I know
I have a spicy take here. As much as I loved the Meze 109s as well, like they're my favorite Meze, I kind of think I'd probably still take the HD 600 over them. That's how much I don't care about Soundstage, because that's really where the Meze 109s shine, in my opinion. Like they're better than the HD 600s in that
I think
regard.
a little bit more resolving, but not twice the price more resolving.
Yeah, I need
But
to do side by side.
although
But
that being said, there are other things, the sound stage, the comfort, those are all part of the
yeah.
experience
Mm-hmm.
too. So
Mm-hmm.
but if I had to think which one's the more musical headphone, it'd still be the HD600 probably.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
But for gaming, Meze 109s.
Yes, for game. This is why I love them. I think they sound very good for music. A tad bit bright in the upper treble, but very good for gaming. Enjoyable, not as warm.
Yeah.
Great, really great.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Listeners saying Andrew's spitting.
I
Straight
know,
facts.
and like 2 minutes ago, it was or 5 minutes ago, it was like Chrono spitting.
Yeah. All right. I see a question here. Is the Andromeda S still? I don't know about Andromeda S. Andromeda is still worth buying in 2023. From Campfire Audio.
TFA? Who?
Yeah. um, no, the Andromeda was always good, but I feel, are they still making it? I'm not sure. I mean, if you,
I I need to check.
there's the 2020 version, but I don't know what the status of that is right now. But I think, yeah, I think it's still good. I think there are a number of like, you know, there are a number of chi-fi uh, high value IEMs that have come out in recent times that I think really put pressure on that price range, just generally, including the Andromeda. Like you have the Symphonium Helios, which if you can get around the fit, is probably better. Because the fit and comfort on that is a challenge. Then there's also I mean, the Meteor is much more comfortable, easier to wear. But then there's also like the audio stuff, like the Monarch Mark II. So, yeah. Oh, it is discontinued. A Symphonium's not China. No, you're right. Yeah. Okay. So technically, that's from Singapore. Yeah. You're right. But the audio stuff is Tri-Fi. And the Juno SA6 Ultra, but they need to make that again. They need to continue with Juno SA6 Ultra. Because that's
SA6 still was pretty good though.
Still really good, yeah.
Yeah.
And like, here's a bit of a spicy take. I would probably still take the SA6 original over the Andromeda.
Hey, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, even though I like the Andromeda, it's like I would probably still take the SA6 because it's got that like warm. It's not neutral, but I don't care. So yeah.
I'm not that big of an IAM guy, so don't ask me. We'll get precog in some other day.
I've become more of an IEM guy, lately, just because of some of the fantastic stuff that's come out in the super budget segment. But yeah, and I think this is something that like Precog was saying when we did the roundup, the most recent one,
yeah.
where he was pointing out that like a lot of the new hyped products are coming out in the budget segment, the ultra budget segment, but nothing like that is happening at $500 or $1,000, especially for over-ear headphones. There are things that are coming out, but they're not the things that are like that lightning rod budget or good value, I guess. The value proposition isn't there the way that it is for the ultra inexpensive IEMs that are coming out these days. So I'd love to see that. That's my hope for 2023.
Actually, you know how I just did like the 1 to 2K roundup?
Oh yeah.
There was a comment there. It's like, wow, it's the same headphones you're still selling on your website from like 3 years ago. And I'm like,
but what else is
man,
there?
don't shoot the messenger. If the LCDX, the Aria, the HC100S, and the Clear are still like the best, it's like, what am I gonna do? I'm just relaying some information, So it's like,
I mean, and this is the thing. There have been some headphones that have come out that are in that price range that are not good. Like I'm thinking of
there's actually a ton of headphones in that price range. They're just not as worth talking about, to be honest.
Like they're not. They have some weird frequency response, or I remember there was the Timsock TS1024 that came out. And it's like, that's in that price range. The Sendy Peacock. It's like, do we really consider those I don't. So, yeah.
I think it's kind of nice though that these headphones that we talk about, they've been great for 2 years, but at least they've been getting price cuts. Some of them significant, like the Aria. So it's like, I mean, it's excellence. It's hard to beat, right? Like I was just listening to the Aria Stealth for the first time in like 2 years, and it's like, this is so excellent. It's like.
This is now in the $2,000 price range. This is the one you missed.
I haven't listened to it. That's why the HE1000
V2.
V2, yes.
Yeah. That's probably my pick at that $2,000 price mark right now.
Hey Chrono, is the DT770 Pro still a good buy in 2023? Yeah, I think so. I think it's my favorite affordable close back, honestly.
And this is the beauty of this. Like audio doesn't progress the way that computer processors do.
Yeah, I mean, actually, if you think about it, we were just talking about the HC600 singing its praises, and that's like almost a 30-year-old headphone. It came out in like 1996. It's 2023.
When did the DT770 come out?
The current model, I think it hasn't changed much since 2004.
But they've been doing those same headphones for decades.
Yeah, pretty much. There's just been slight
So
design changes.
if it
And
was,
honestly, I think I mean aside from the separation and the
yeah, yeah,
we you know how we feel about about biodynamic tuning. It's a
yeah,
great driver, the DT driver.
yeah.
That's why I felt like the DT 1770. I haven't tried the X models, the new like in I think you reviewed
I
them.
recently went back to those to A and B them with the DT 770 and the 880s and the Tigers, the Tiger 300R, and the new ones are so shit. Like, I'm sorry, compare it. Like, they're so blunted. They have that over damped kind of sound. I don't know if that's actually why, but they're so not great. The closed is okay, but like still, the older DTs are still the most resolving out of all those Bear Dynamics, in my opinion.
It's a great driver.
Yeah,
It's just a great headphone.
yeah.
There's been a few questions about the Batis, like how do they compare about to the LCD2, and also do you still like the Batis, and how do they compare to the headphones in the 1 to 2K price? Now, I will give you the disclaimer that for the next 3 to 5 minutes, I will not say a word because I have not tried the Batis. So, Rasal, please take the stage.
We gotta send you one.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So, it depends on whether or not you EQ. I think without EQ, they have a pleasant sound signature, relaxed, a little warm, let's call it, but not dark or anything like that. But if yeah, a friendly, chilled out kind of presentation. But there's when you dive into EQ with this headphone, I feel that it gets very close to their passive closebacks, to the point where personally I would choose a Batiste over a Radiance, and that's saying something because we both love the Radiance. And I mean, I would choose it over most closebacks, if not all closebacks, because it's also noise canceling and very comfortable. But realistically, there's like I can't expect people to dive into EQ because this is a wireless headphone, and most people are going to want to use it wirelessly with the default tuning. So really, we're talking about like the default tuning. I do think that there's still some distance there between the Batiste and the Radiance. For just people who are they're not tinkering, they're just getting the default tuning. I think that those passive ones are still better, but yeah, I'm very. I was just saying before, like, if I think about the headphone that I look forward to listening to the most at the end of the day, even though there's all kinds of high-end headphones here, that this is not mine, just for reference. They're just they're review samples, right? I still look forward to listening to the Batiste the most. But that's also
so wholesome.
It
so
is,
wholesome.
but there's two reasons for that. One, it's because I have my EQ dialed in exceptionally specific for me with this one, and I have shared it with DMS, so I'm curious what his thoughts are going to be on this as well. But then also, there's the noise canceling component to it, and I find that it's, especially when I'm working, it's actually a pretty significant benefit to not getting distracted. So yeah, so I'm super into it. I will say there's a couple of quirks. One is that if you have glasses with really thick arms, like these ones here, I actually have another set of glasses that I use normally, but these are just for fashion. But yeah, if you have glasses with really thick arms, that can be a little bit like, yeah, a little bit of discomfort on the side there. But I find that they're actually more comfortable than the Celesti, and they're more comfortable for me than the Radiance as well. So, yeah, they're pretty much my go-to closeback. I don't even consider wearing any other closeback right now. And it's one of those where, like, I'm a little bit surprised that this is the one that I go to or gravitate to the most right now, because of how much I like the Radiance and because of how much I like the LCD XC and the Aeon Noir, the passive closebacks. But this is the one that I end up using more than anything else, and it just goes to show that there is like a convenience factor to the whole thing that plays a role in our choices. Even people who are as picky as we are when it comes to sound quality. So there's that. Now, compared to the LCD2 F, I assume you mean, this is not on that level for technical performance. The tuning is actually kind of similar. Like they're both kind of chilled out tunings, but it's I would say if you're looking for the best technical capability, it's the LCD2F is going to be the better one there for that. But yeah, I'm still super impressed by this driver, the Vocal driver, what they did, taking their classic driver tech and moving it into the noise canceling headphone. It's got all the things that I care about, so there's that. Okay, that's enough about the Batiste because Chrono hasn't heard it, so we'll only just send one over to you.
What is the Batiste? What is this mythical thing that you talk about?
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't ever heard.
Exactly.
Oh no, I moved my camera and I can see the anime posters. Where's
you moved the camera just so they could see the anime posters.
No, that was an accident. I did not mean. Oh, what's it called? Actually, somebody sent in us. Are they called super chats? What are they called on YouTube?
Yeah, Scott pledged you. Yeah.
Super chats. Yeah. Okay. The Bowers and Wilkins Px8 007 edition is horrible. What headphone would you choose for Mr. Bond and why?
Over your headphone, I would probably choose. So not that one. See, I love the design of that one. I'm a big James Bond fan, right? So like,
yes,
not all of them, but like the Daniel Craig movies are good. But man, like I wanted to like that one because it looked so cool. But I think he would probably he might wear something like this, the Batiste. He might wear the Mark Levinson. I'm not sure. It's the Mark Levinson. If he were to wear that one, it would be the black one. I think. I don't think the red one would really do for him. But for passive headphones, what would he use?
I had a suggestion for this actually.
Okay.
It's the Radiance, but with a Aston Martin sticker slapped onto her Bentley's. Either that, or he wears Camphor Burl ZMF headphones. There is no in between.
Yeah.
With like a smoky, with like a smoky black finish on the Camphor Burl, and like gold, actually no, silver trimmings. That's peak James Bond right there.
I think he would go with a Warwick Acoustics Bravura or a Perio, because with the whole system all in one thing, right? And
I could see it.
Specifically the black one, so the special edition. I think that's what he would do. Plus, I'm sure he's wealthy. He could get it's like 30
in that case, he's a Sennheiser IE200 type of guy.
Yeah,
the tubes elevate slowly cinematically. I'm sure Joshua Waller would do like a James Bond take on that. Velour, sorry, terrible at pronouncing, as we know.
No, you said it right the first time.
Oh, really? It's Valor. It's Valor. Oh,
yeah.
Valor.
Like Valorant.
Okay. Oh, like
yeah.
Oh man, you know that Valorant's been my most recent addiction. I quit games for like 2 years, and then Valorant happened a few months ago, and now they took all my skin, all my money with the skins. It's terrible.
It's terrible.
Great sound design though. We got to try it out sometime together. Just get the three of us trying out the game. I feel like that'd be fun. Rate the sound engine.
I'm down.
Chrono rank competitive rank in Valorant. Ascendant 2.
Is that good? I don't know what's good.
I don't know. I'm new to the game. I've been there for a while now. Ascendant 2, and I can't move out. I was at 95 RR out of 100 the other day, and I cannot move anymore.
Oh, they're saying it's good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do a Valorant audio guide sometime in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Rush says, "What do you guys think of the Yamaha headphones? They don't seem discussed that often." I have not heard good things from those who've heard it, but that's secondhand, right? So I can't really comment because I haven't heard it. Like the new planars, is that what you're thinking about? Because I haven't. No, I don't think any of us have heard it. But I'd love to get one in for a review. So I feel like this is the other thing, like that. I want to get more headphones in for review, but some of them, maybe this is just because it's like hangover from the pandemic or something like that. But like, it's difficult to get certain things. Like, I want to get some of the Stax stuff in because I've heard those at shows, and that stuff is extremely interesting. Like the L700, like the weird looking, ear speaker things. Or no, they're not ear speakers, but like, you know what I mean, like the ones that look like rectangles on the side of your head. They're very, very interesting, and I'd love to try that, but it's hard to get them. So maybe one day.
I have proof here of my Valorant rank. If I do screen share, will it kill the stream result?
I don't know.
What mess it? Okay, I won't touch it then. I don't want to.
We don't need to prove it. It's.
I know. Just bam.
Yeah.
For the Batiste question for Chrono, and it's a Batiste question. Is it okay? So is it? I think there's an EQ question. I use EQ in app. I don't know.
So Chrono, for the headphone you haven't heard, how do you EQ them?
I just kind of sit there and I listen to Resolve describe them, and then I envision my EQ, and then I manifest it, and that's how it works.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, okay. He's asking me. In app and up the lows and highs, I give it a V curve. How are you EQing them? Not like that. So what I'm doing is I'm sort of, it's weird because I do lift the treble, like I lift the ear gain slightly because they're kind of relaxed for their tuning. But then I also I don't really do that much drastic. It's just a series of smaller little tweaks. Yeah, for me it's I mean, I'm cheating a little bit because we use the measurement rig, right? So I'm able to kind of really precisely get in there and like, get it to be as specific for what I know I like. But then at the same time, I should make this public. I should just post it up on the forum there. I probably will. But of course, the other thing that we notice is that like they change so much depending on the head that they're on. So if you have a large head like Chrono's or mine,
hey yo, come on! Don't ask me like that.
Yeah, the ear gain shape is quite different than if you have a smaller head where the pads aren't getting compressed as much. So it's hard to know that EQ profile is going to track for everybody. So, but it's worth trying at the very least. And for me, this is like, that's why I said, like, it's the thing that I look forward to the most to listen to music with, like, just for my own enjoyment, because it's so precisely dialed in. Whereas other ones, it's more like, okay, how can I get this to be generally solid for what I think most people would like? But this one is like for how I like it, and that's, it's dialed in. All right, let's go for some more questions here. Let's go for okay.
Actually, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Am I allowed?
Yes.
All right. If you wanted to see a non-audiophile, or in other words, a normie, react or experience a hi-fi headphone, it could be of any price bracket, which one would you show them or have them listen to?
Of any price bracket?
Yes.
I mean, are we including the Imperio and the HE1? And the Shangri-La Senior?
Sure, why not?
Then those. Actually, I kind of think a complete non-audiophile.
Yeah, like you just pick up like a dude off the street and you're like, listen to these headphones. Bam! Make a TikTok.
I think
out of it,
okay. I think that one of the most like wow experiences that people can have is with the Focal Utopia. Like it's because the thing that I've there's actually research on this. What people value and appreciate about high-end headphones or just headphones in general, sound quality is like is a key factor there, but there's so much more that's like we don't think about it because we're so deep into the sound quality world, right? But like there's so much of like build and feel and just every like the luxury aspect that contributes to the people feeling good about their experience that they're having. So I would say probably Focal Utopia because it does feel particularly premium. But then also
I think the new one looks the part too. It's quite a bit more elegant than the old one. The new Utopia.
Yeah. But for sound quality to like blow their minds with like oh my god, this is insane. I'm gonna go off the board here a little bit because we haven't reviewed it. I'm gonna go Stax L700.
Ooh.
Because that's one where it nothing sounds normal on that headphone. It's just, it's so weird, but
It's its own
also
thing.
it's yeah, but it's also so like it has the kind of like shit yourself detail where like if you put that on a normal person, they'd be like, what the actual hell is going on? They'll hear things that they've never heard before, and it'll ruin them.
So when are we gonna review the Stax L700?
Yeah, if I can get one in, I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It measures weird. I know it measures weird, but
Yeah.
and it sounds like it measures weird. It's like it's a little bit like those Abyss headphones, right? Where they're super weird for their frequency response, and everything about them is strange, but they are technical as a technical as
I just
something.
give a disclaimer for some of the guys out there. Like, there's some headphones that, believe me, we really, really want to review, but getting your hands on them can be quite hard. The
Yeah.
Stax stuff is some of it. The ZMF stuff is another. Like we love them. We really want to like listen to them and give you content, but those are a bit harder to come by.
Yeah, exactly.
If I know, because I see a lot of like ZMF and Stax requests in the comments. It's just something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
like
not that we don't want to; it's that we can't at the moment.
And I listened to the Stax X9000, which also it sounded pretty good, but I still think the L700 was more technical. At least off of that setup that they had there that I listened to. So yeah, maybe something like that, or I gotta say that the Shangri-La Junior is really solid as well. So maybe something like that, something E-Statty that's just bonkers.
Although actually, somebody made a comment earlier. I thought it was interesting because they took a sound approach that was not solely about sound quality, and they said it was M. Peters who said, I think an HD600 because it would be impressive because of the low price. Like, people would find it surprising the quality you can get.
But do they? But if they don't have the
$200-$300.
context for the rest of the landscape, right?
Yeah, but I think most people will have experience like AirPods at some point.
That's fair.
So like, and then they put on like HD600s. It's like a whole new world.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, yeah, nothing wrong with that. I think it'd be cool to like give someone some sort of like maybe like not just one headphone. Someone says LCD4 there as well, and I think like that's another thing if you want to show people some sort of crazy bass capability. The LCD4,
Hey, maybe we should round up some normies, blindfold them, and have them try headphones.
We should do that.
Yeah,
we should
maybe
do that
in the future. Yeah.
Maybe some OG HE6s or something like that.
Oh. You're gonna have to send me more amps for that.
Yeah.
We got come visit Precog's hood, and I can hook you up with a Stax demo. Ooh.
That'd be nice.
Oh yeah.
Wait, do you have one, Super? Also, shout out to Super Review. Everyone go check out his channel. Den and stuff, yeah, that's on the radar. The first opportunity we get to review some Denons, we'll do it. Someone says, Resolve, why do you not like the Meze Elites? I do like the Meze Elites. I thought they're alright. They're overpriced for the sound quality, in my opinion, and so or I shouldn't say overpriced. They are not competitive at that price point for the sound quality, in my opinion. But they have the best build quality and comfort by far, by a country mile in that price range.
A beautiful headphone.
And they're good looking too, yeah. So I do like them. I just don't. I just think. Go ahead.
There's always been something about yeah. I've tried the Elite and the original Empyrean. I do think the Elite is an improvement over the Empyrean. It's just, again, not very price competitive. But I feel like there's something that Renaro driver has some interesting qualities.
Yeah.
The first one is that the treble is ungodly over brightened. But the one thing I do like is that there's something about the separation you get, the images,
the layering that you like, yeah.
It's quite good on those headphones. So like, I feel like it's like exciting technology. They just really gotta fine tune that.
I was
FR.
Yeah, I was listening to the Empyrean, the original Empyrean, for the first time. This is like a long time ago. And I found myself like I was playing some video games or something, and I just put on music and put on the Empyrean, and I remember like finding myself just like there's some headphones where you just like can't help but pay attention to everything, and then there's other headphones where it's just sort of like it just sounds pleasant, and I felt like the Meze Elite and Empyrean are kind of like the latter, right? They're the more just there's a pleasantness to the character of the presentation. overall. Not neutral by any means, not super detailed, but there's a pleasantness to it. And so for that quality, I kind of like it. But yeah, someone says, yeah, everything sounds nice, except for the treble. God damn it. The treble is not. The treble is a bit intense on the Empyrean and the Elite.
On the original MP, there's also like a slight like mid upper bass to like lower mid.
Yeah.
That sounds a little awkward. That gets smoothed out on the Elite.
But so I will say,
it does get better.
Meze is one of my favorite brands because they pay attention to the things that, in my opinion, or at least I care about the most with headphones, which is ergonomics. Build quality and ergonomics. They pay attention to that better than anybody else in the industry, in my opinion. So, for people who are sat at a desk wearing headphones for 8 hours a day, working or whatever, it's the right thing, in my opinion. Because I guess these are pretty comfy too, like the Hifiman stuff. But still, like the build quality.
Sometimes the material on the Hifimans can be kind of scratchy.
Yeah.
Inner lining, yeah.
So Meze, it's definitely one of my favorite brands because they focus on the right things.
Actually, that's one of the reasons. The ergonomics is one of the reasons why the way you feel about the Batista, it's like that headphone. The one you look forward to listening to. That's kind of how I feel with the 109s. It just hits the right nose for me. Where it's like, this is what I want to listen to at the end of the day if I'm tired.
Yeah. Like
and it's just so comfortable.
Personally, between the Meze 109 and the Batiste, this is gonna sound crazy, but I would actually choose the Batiste because of that use case situation. Closed back, noise canceling. And I know, it's not an open back passive headphone. It's a kind of crazy thing to think about, but that's how much this sort of personal choice, thing can influence decisions. So that's why they're like best headphones under $500, best headphones under $1,000. It's like I have a real hard time answering that question because everyone's gonna have different requirements. But for sound quality, we can do our best,
Yeah, I you gotta remember, we have our own preferences and our use cases,
Yeah.
So it's like sometimes it's hard to recommend, and it's not always that we don't like other headphones. It's just that obviously because we have our preferences and we'll describe our experience and see how it fits them.
Yeah.
And hope our job is basically to see how well we can relay that and see how you can apply it to your own scenario. Because sometimes people, if we don't like something or don't recommend something, people get really mad, and it's like, well, it's not that we don't like it, just didn't make it into my list or our list, stuff like that.
Yeah, but clearly you're you've ruined it for everybody else who likes it by saying that.
I remember when I reviewed the Empyrean 2 years ago, somebody got really mad at me.
Someone got very mad at you for that.
Yes, somebody got very, very mad at me. They messaged me on multiple channels.
Yeah.
I remember nothing bothered me until they said that I didn't appreciate it because I wasn't a musician. Which, at that time, I think nobody knew that I was a guitarist. But that's the one comment that really ticked me off. So I was like, it's like, also, what does that have to do with anything? It's like, well, I guess, sure. I mean, if you were a music professional, like an engineer, that might change your perspective on that.
Well, if you're not a musician, you've clearly never heard the sound of an acoustic guitar in real life, or a piano, or whatever.
Surely you haven't been to a concert.
Yeah.
Actually, did you know something? So I've said this multiple times tonight. I'm a guitarist. I was mainly a classical guitarist. I've recently been moving to electrical guitar. Leo Fender, who designed Fender guitars and amplifiers. He wasn't a musician himself. He didn't know how to play guitar. He didn't play it.
Interesting.
Well, he probably knew, but he didn't play it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you don't even have to be a musician to design an instrument, which is incredible.
There you have it. It's interesting you mentioned that. My uncle he's a guitar builder, acoustic guitar builder.
A luthier.
A luthier, yeah. So that's his world. That's his been his profession for his whole life, basically, most of his life. But what I didn't realize is that he is also a phenomenal guitar player. But the thing is, I would never have known it because I always knew him as a guitar builder, and my dad played acoustic guitar, classical guitar, flamenco guitar, but and whenever we'd have family gatherings, my dad would be the one playing the guitars. My uncle never played. And one day I asked my dad, why doesn't he ever play? And the answer was he just doesn't like performing. So this was the fact that, you know, him building guitars was his ability to sort of connect with that world that he loved, right, without any of the sort of, you know, performance aspect of anything. And then eventually I did hear him play, and I was like, holy crap, he's actually really good. So it's just, you know, he was more interested in the acoustic side of things, you know, so, and what made for good sound. So, yeah, getting a bit sidetracked.
The thing is that as someone who plays an instrument, I feel like timbre becomes pretty big, because I hear like I want guitars to sound natural in the recordings I'm listening to. Right?
Yeah, no kidding.
So like that's like Sennheiser is as a guitarist, like my favorite. I feel like the one that always sounds the most natural or faithful to me has always been the Sennheiser stuff. Well, I really like this HD600, HD100, etc., etc.
Yeah. All right, let's get some spicy questions in the chat, and we'll address some spicy questions. But before we get there, I want to ask you two things.
Me?
One is, okay. Have you been following what's going on with the changes to the headphone measurement target that we're proposing? And I want to get your thoughts on this, because we haven't talked about it.
Okay, listen. I haven't been super close. I've been studying for an exam, but I actually did listen to the Q&A video without listening to the target video. Yeah, I know. So one, you just exposed me.
Yeah.
But yes, continue your question.
So related to that is, you know, when you're doing your evaluations, like you talk a lot about frequency response. Based on what you're hearing things or what you're hearing for, you know, when you're listening to music, are you doing any sort of like manual sine sweeps when you're doing this, or is this something that you just notice that stands out when you're listening to particular tracks that you're familiar with?
You know, I have I don't mean this just to like, oh well, I have exceptional hearing, but I have really good hearing. I don't mean it to like brag or anything like that, but I have very sensitive hearing.
Yeah.
And there will be things that instantly stand out on any headphone that I'll listen to. And actually, it doesn't even have to be music. Sometimes I'll be playing Valorant, and I go from like the Meze, or let's say I go from the HD100 to the Clear MG, and a character says a voice line, and I can tell where in the frequency response something's off.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It's
yes, you know right away. So I know what you mean.
Instantly, like I'll be able to tell like this is what's off and why. And there were a few things, at least about Harman, that I didn't wholly agree with.
Oh, like what?
Well, the first thing was the upper mid range. I felt like it was a little bit too accentuated, and I found it to be a little bit forward or harsh, like maybe 1 or 2 dB, right? Like between 2.5, 5K. And then personally, the upper treble is something I think I could use a little bit more air above 10K.
Oh, that's because the target it's a measurement artifact after 10K, anyways.
Right, and then there was the bass shelf. The bass shelf, when I think of when I'm playing music live, right, or just practicing, I'm listening to my instrument. There was something about the bass shelf I thought it's a little overdone. I get it that what it's trying to simulate is sort of like that bass room tone that you would get in the sub bass, but it just didn't sound very natural to me, right?
So when you're doing you're paying less, you're less concerned about how things are measuring on the rig, and you're more concerned about how things are, you know, I guess perceptually to you, but you're using the same, you know, sort of, you know, identification analysis, you know, for frequency response, to say there's a peak there at 5K, I can hear it right away, you know, when I'm listening. You know, I know what you mean when you say that, and I think actually anybody who spends their time kind of like with this sort of critical analysis lens to when they're sort of reviewing headphones, like Critical and I were actually talking about this recently. It's like when you do this enough, like you become so attuned to when things are just slightly wrong that you start to hear it instantly. And so I personally find myself being more sensitive to some regions than other regions as well. But what I always wonder about this, and this is why I think for me the measurement stuff is super interesting, is I have to like draw a bit of a line there between how I personally hear things and what I prefer and what I think is going to be appropriate for most people. And that's why, for me it's like, okay, I'm just one person. So how do I transcend the soloness of me? As Forrest Gump
Yeah.
says, I'm only ever looking at my own two eyes, right? So for me it's like that's where the measurement rig stuff comes into play, because that's really the only way that I can
It's like a
communicate this.
visual. It's a visual standard.
Yeah, yeah. But,
Yeah.
as we know, like maybe for you and I, the way headphones are for us is, it contributes to a, shoutier sound in that particular region of the frequency response. Where for other people, that's not an issue for them at all. It's not a problem.
No,
You know?
and there's definitely differences in the way
Yeah.
people hear. I mean, I don't think how I don't believe that there are very extreme differences, but there are differences, and that's why sometimes I'll be talking about the upper mid range, and I'll give the disclaimer that, hey, like, look, I'm sensitive to that like 3 to 5K region, so I
Yeah.
know this might not be bothersome at all for some people, but for me it is, right?
Yeah.
So there are things like that happen.
Yeah. So what I'm curious about, and what we'll do with the new Target and the new system and everything, is we will start to try and put together. I think we'll ask the rest of the sort of review team, to give us some feedback on the new Target, with headphones that are EQ profiles that get a headphone to match the Target, to see what you guys think. But one of the things that because I've been doing it, obviously, right? Like I've been EQing things to the new Target that we're sort of proposing, and what I found is that with IEMs, it's so much better than Harman, specifically for, surprisingly, the timbre. Like it
That's actually
instantly,
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it instantly made it so that things that sounded slightly wonky for the timbre were just like so correct. I was like, holy shit.
I always felt the timbre was off on like the Harman specifically tuned IEM.
Yeah.
It just never sounded right for in-ears,
Yeah.
to me at least. And actually, I was just thinking, I know the new Target is based sort of off diffuse field.
Yeah.
And when I think of my two favorite headphones, which would be the HD800 and the HD600, yes, I know, Sennheiser stand, I know. Those were headphones that were tuned to the diffuse field Target, actually, which is
well, sort of.
well, sort of. The HD600 more than the
Yes.
HD800.
Yes.
But
The HD800 was, this is a thread from a long time ago. They called it diffuse field loudness equalized, which, yeah, I don't know. I need to dig back into that. But
you had two questions. Was that all question one? Or
oh yeah, that was all question one. Yeah, that was all question one. Question two
okay.
was, because you're a gamer, and a lot of what you like when you're doing your evaluations, that's like something that plays a role, right? And we know that like things that contribute to spaciousness, right? A lot of there is an FR element to this for sure. And what I wonder is, if you could develop a reference curve for optimal gaming performance, which I don't know if is even possible, because like how would you do that? But for you specifically, do you have a sense of what that would be?
I usually find that headphones that are recessed at around 3.5, like 3.5 to 4K, those tend to feel a little bit more spacious.
3.5? Interesting.
3.5 to 4. Like if there's a dip at around 4, they usually feel more spacious for me. And the things that I like for gaming is one, very lean bass. I find that some games have excellent sound design. Recently, a friend and I have been playing Gears of War 5, Gears 5, whatever, and it sounds great. Other games like The Witcher 3 sound horrible. I love the game. One of my favorite games ever, but it sounds horrible, right? I just feel like it's usually like bloated vocals. So like I like a really lean, like mid to upper bass, almost no sub bass, because I feel like that gets in the way, at least if I'm playing like a competitive game. And I do like just a tiny bit more treble airiness, like 7K and above could be a little bit more
right.
Fight.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because for me, I always sort of associate, how like the HD100S effect, where it's like reduced a little bit at around 1.5K, or like the ear gain is shifted, you know what I mean? A little bit upwards. And then there's a little bit more emphasis to, the mid treble, lower treble. I tend to think that that it's something I would point to if I looked at a frequency response graph and I was like, okay, without listening to anything, I bet I could predict whether something would be suitable for games just based on the effect of those two ranges, like the relationship between 1.5 and then that sort of like lower treble, that region of the frequency response. Now I don't know for sure that I would be able to, but that's my assumption. It's a bold assumption, because I think there's more to it than just that. But like I think that's a strong contributor.
You know what we should do?
What's that?
We should test headphones blindfolded in a game that we try and assess the sound engine.
Yeah, well, because and Blaine and I go back and forth on this. We argue about this all the time, but like I think that the Warzone sound engine is terrible. I think it's truly horrible.
I agree. I haven't played Warzone in a while. I haven't played Warzone 2.
Yeah.
But the original one had a terrible sound engine, and it's just the same reason why I find Fortnite unplayable. That's just the sound engine is just horrible.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah. For me, the gold standard for good sound quality in a video game is like the Battlefield series. I don't know about positionally, but like the sound in those games is outstanding. But then for the competitive stuff, for me, it's still CS:GO.
Really? Have you played Valorant, my friend?
No. So I need to do.
I feel like Valorant on the audio front, Valorant has truly impressed me, which surprises me because I come across a lot of teammates who will complain about the audio, and I'm like, this is like top tier. Like there's so much stuff, there's so much information just contained in the sound that you don't get that in that many games.
Yeah.
Actually, based on this question now, just a show of hands, I've seen a few. Don't be shy. Are there any gamers in chat who'd be interested in seeing a headphones and gaming stream?
Headphones, coffee and gaming, or headphones.
Headphones, coffee, and gaming. Yeah, could be headphones, bourbon, and gaming too.
Morning stream and then an evening stream.
This is the night shift.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what we're on right now.
Yeah. Man, my drink is empty. I need to get more. But yeah, so the reason why, like, I do need to get into Valorant and try some of that stuff out. The types of games that I tend to play are like, they're more like I love real-time strategy games. Like actually DMS and I were just playing Supreme Commander just before this stream.
Oh.
It's a ton of fun, and like I don't know, like I gravitate more towards those style of games, even though I like shooters as well, but like for me, there's no better feeling in the world than punishing your opponent in a game of StarCraft. Like just being unbelievably abusive and taking their lunch money.
StarCraft is the HE6 of games.
That's right. That's that. Yes.
So we do have some gamers in chat. I've seen we're getting PS5 VR questions. We're getting some.
Scott. Says +1 to games, gear and glugs. Gear and games, gear and glug stream. Wow.
maybe it's time to start that headphones Twitch channel.
We do have that, the headphone hangout. I think.
The headphone hangout.
I did one stream on that channel once, just to test to see if it was working. So maybe we can do that again.
Yeah. But I can resolve and DMS try Valorant for the first time.
Yeah.
Carried like Chrono.
Yeah. See, the last time
trying headphones.
But the last time we tried to do some sort of stream, it was also carried by Chrono. It was Warzone carried by Chrono.
Did we stream Warzone?
I think we did. I feel it was a long time ago. I think we did. I feel like we did, but it ended up just being like us having a conversation and like losing while you carried us. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was. Oh man, it must have been at least like 2 years.
Yeah.
Cheers,
sure.
A toast exactly. To 2 years since the last stream.
Yeah. Oh, Metal's here. Oh, I just see there's a question from or comment from listener. Are you EQing to the 14 dB tilt for IEMs? So so that's what I've been testing. By the way, for the new Target, even on the Gross rig, like my concern with the new Target right now is with the Gross system, 2K looks a bit weird, but that could just be an effect of that specific penna. because on the B&K it doesn't look weird. So maybe this is just that on the Gross 2K is the sacrificial lamb. But for IEMs, it's not as much. It's not an issue. I find it's not an issue. But yeah, with the IEM that actually measures, one of the best measuring IEMs on the Gross, with the new target is the Truthier Hexa. So, like that's almost perfectly flat across, with just a little bit of extra brightness in the treble, which is exactly how it sounds to me. So, for those of you guys who have heard the Hexa and you like it, you should be happy. Might also be DFH RTF we have isn't high res enough. No, it is. No, it is. This is unsmooth. I think we're aiming for 12 points per octave. Like I was even considering maybe if we smooth it, then it might chill things out there at around 2K. But I think it's actually just the effect of that specific pinna, because when I go with in-ear headphones, not using the pinna, it's sorry, this is more of a technical question, but with a 14 dB tilt, which is what people prefer in IEMs, it's dope. So yeah, I'd say try it for folks who have that capability, who EQ IEMs. The one you used in the same one that Blaine gave me forever ago assumed it was still quite low res. The one I used was, I think, 112. I think. So I don't know. We're aiming for 112 anyways, which is better than the half smoothing of, one half smoothing of Harman. Can Jam next month. Yeah. Though Hexa's dope. Need to pinch more bass. I agree. Hexa Dusk. Ooh. Maybe we need to do a collab of some kind. We haven't done that yet. But yeah, we were just talking about something else. A gaming stream.
The gaming stream. It's gotta happen someday.
So here's my question for you.
What's up?
Do you think it's worth coming up with a gaming target curve, or like specifically competitive gaming target curve, or is this something that like we just have to kind of like put our like music evaluator hats aside?
I feel like for gaming it's a bit more difficult. It goes beyond it far. There are certain qualities in a headphone that you'd be looking for that would make it better for gaming. Like for me, it'd be imaging first.
Right.
I'll give my Valorant example because of that's the game I've been playing most and it's competitive, right? Like for playing on these, the 109s is way easier than playing on the Clear, for example, right?
Do you feel you're like do you think you could say, okay, on the Clear I'm like this skill level, and on the 109 Pros I'm this skill level? Is it like that kind of difference, or it's just like it's harder to reach that skill level or like that, whatever matchmaking rating you have?
It's not like headphones give you aimbot, right?
Yeah.
But they definitely help. It can help a lot.
Yeah.
Actually, what I wanted to record, this is more of a like random experiment kind of video, is like gaming on a $30 headphone versus Astros, which would have been the Porta Pros, except that the other day I was listening to the Porta Pros and I moved my hand down and I accidentally like ripped the cable out of the right socket.
This is a theme with you.
Again. I know, right? It's terrible. So that would be interesting. And this will probably doing like a blindfold of like different popular headphones and gaming headsets, I think could be interesting, because then we could see like what qualities are really making it easier to pick up on sound cues. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is a Metal 571's unit right here, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So I need to do a video on these still. But yeah, okay. So what you're saying is that like we still have to do the subjective assessment no matter what for gaming performance.
I feel like it's more of it goes beyond. I feel like gaming actually has like a more extended checklist of things that you need, because it goes beyond it far, right? Because like we've been singing the praises of the HC600, but I feel like that doesn't cut it. Yeah. Really, when it comes to gaming. And I think you would agree with that, correct?
Yeah, completely.
Okay, yeah.
And I mean, but that's why I'm thinking, like, if there's something that if we could reliably point to a particular FR relationship and say, this is good for gaming and this is bad for gaming. You know, we could theoretically come up with a competitive gaming suitability, you know, index for headphone performance or something like that. But
Right.
at the moment, I think, you know, we still have to rely on kind of like reviewer consensus from people who are competitive gamers. And I think that's something that, like, it's difficult if you're just like a headphone reviewer, like just an audio reviewer, you know, evaluating it for how good it sounds in games. It's a very different kind of evaluation if you think about that compared to, like, you know, its ability to perform a certain way, you know, for the competitive side of things. So I think we need to just like post people's like matchmaking rating and say, okay, this person uses these headphones or something like that.
I know people get touchy about using like what do you call it, ranks and
Yeah.
results as validation, but I feel like there's, I mean, it's kind of like the like the music thing, right? Like, are you a musician? So
Yeah.
like you have to be a musician to be able to like make comments about audio, which I don't think is necessarily true, you know.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I mean, we could do either a stream or a video where we, like, you know, we share our experiences with gaming. We try different things and try to look for common factors that we're like, yeah, well, this is what it's influencing our sound experience the most.
yeah.
And we use just one game that I mean, whoever's participating in the video, we have to have the consensus that this is a reliable sound engine that's consistent.
Right.
And
And
then
then
be
we can
like,
have
well, yeah.
we can have like a peer reviewed ranking of gaming headsets or headphones.
Yes.
It'd piss everybody off. As Metal 571 says, wouldn't a gaming target curve be the DT990 because Ninja said so?
I mean, there you have it. It's Ninja and
See,
Nonjo. What else do you want? It's
I
basically
don't even know who
Endgame.
that is. So so yeah. All right.
Wait, you don't know who Ninja is?
No, couldn't tell you. No idea. There's I've heard the name before, obviously, because of the video that DMS put out, but
Oh, right.
that's the first that's the only time that I've, you know, yeah.
I think he made a video. I can't remember what channel it was, like Business Insider or something like that. Forbes maybe. It was like 5 things I can't live without, and one of them was the DT990. And I was like,
Really?
yeah.
Jesus. I you know, he's probably broken him in by now though, so, you know.
Oh yeah, no, those pads are like paper
It's
thin.
probably dark at this point. Yeah. Let's have some spicy takes, guys. Let's go
Yes.
with the spiciest of takes. All right, or just spicy questions. Headphones give you wall hacks. Which would you choose, Metal 571 or HD 100S? I would choose Metal 571. That's pretty easy.
What is this, like a human trafficking question or
Oh, I think
like
I read the question wrong.
what is this?
Yeah, yeah. We could have a predicted kill death ratio for headphones for gaming. Never mind how good the player is. Headphones is all that matters. DT 1990 for gaming. I think that might be all right, actually. DT 1990.
Oh, it's great. It's
Yeah,
great.
I think that's the
It'll
best
it'll like
application for that headphone.
it'll stab your ears off after a
Yeah,
solid 3 hour session, but yeah, it's great.
yeah.
Really
Get
great.
all them footsteps. Um, let's see. Average gamers won't benefit from great gaming headphones.
I disagree.
I think that anybody will benefit from great gaming. Well, if they're gaming, will benefit,
I
but they won't necessarily realize the full potential of that.
Yeah. But I like, I mean, what is average gamer, right? Like you're probably saying like a low skill player who like goes negative all the time. I don't know. Like is that what you consider average? But I feel like if you play immersive games or like music based games like Cadence of Hyrule,
Right.
yeah, higher
Well,
quality
okay.
hi-fi audio would enhance your experience.
Let's
Absolutely. Or
let's take this analogy a little bit more extreme though. Compare a set of nice headphones for gaming, like say you're comparing the Meze 109 Pros, right, that have a good
yeah,
soundstage and imaging, whatever, and your ability to be competitive in Valorant with those headphones on compared to speakers, 2 channel speakers, near field.
what? I've never tried that actually. Yeah.
I mean, it's
Mm.
worth trying that to see if there is a competitive advantage conferred by the headphones specifically because of, you know, the type of music, the type of auditory experience that it is, and how different that is from
Right.
having things like right here coming at you, right? Maybe it's better with speakers. I haven't tried that, but like I have to imagine that like the speakers come from this direction, headphones are on your head. I don't know.
Tell you what, if you send me the Focal speakers, I'll test it.
I haven't heard those. I heard them.
If somebody is
Yeah,
if
some, yeah, I
somebody
know.
sends me the speakers, I'll test it. I'll do an Ascendant game, and
Yeah.
anybody have one like Ascendant game commissions, like play on earbuds or something like
Yeah.
that. I'll do it, sure. But you know, I've experienced that sort of before, even within headphones. Like, you know, when I'm reviewing stuff, I told you I'm like sensitive even to things in games, not necessarily music, right? Because I'm like I'm
Hmm.
so familiar with this stuff that it
Yeah.
actually helps me identify things that I'm looking for in headphones.
Yeah.
And there's headphones that I will not disclose their names that I've been like I'm testing them to review them. I'm like I'm playing a game and it's like I can't hear anything in these. Like that does happen. Like there,
Well, but now I want to know what headphones they
we can have that conversation behind closed doors.
are. Don't say HD600.
No. But they might be on that list. It's a
Okay.
secret.
Okay.
Yeah,
So they may be
well,
good for something else, but they're not suitable at all for gaming.
well, you know, I love them. I said they're my second favorite headphone.
Oh, okay.
You know, I do love them. It's just that they're different use case scenarios. That's
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah. I tend to agree. All right, let's look at the spicy takes here. I'm bad at gaming because of the headphones I wear. It has nothing to do with my skill. Ain't that the truth? See, that's the excuse. You can wear HD600s and then blame that for having a poor KD ratio.
I mean, honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
I doubt you'll hear much. No,
Yeah.
never mind. I'm not gonna go there. Anyways,
Will headphones get better in 2023? A lot of tunings are questionable. So let's just stick with over-ear headphones. I mean, it's not really
Yeah.
a spicy take, but because like I think the expectation is that 2023 there will be some dope products, some awesome headphones that come out. We have no idea what they are. I can tell you there's one that is coming out that I am particularly disappointed with. I'm not gonna tell you what that is, but
oh well, aren't you a tease, Andrew?
yeah. But I expect, from my perspective, I mean, this is more of a. We'll do predictions for 2023 a little later, but as a matter of like this 2023 for headphones, will it be as good as 2022, better or worse? My expectation is better. That's what I'm going to predict for that question, because I think here's the thing, right? Like we were actually like trying to pick what our favorites were that came out really recently in that roundup that we did, and I was thinking to myself like, man, there were some good products that came out this year, but it wasn't like a massive year for headphone releases.
You wouldn't go. You wouldn't. There were some good headphones, but you wouldn't go crazy over them, would you?
Yeah, exactly. Like the ones, the big ticket headphones that came out, I was a little bit disappointed by them. And then the other ones that came out, or the other ones that I got a chance to listen to, technically didn't come out, or the ones that I love, they didn't come out in that year, right? So, I mean, I guess now that we have the context for all of that, it's like for 2023, if I isolate, just headphones, here's what I would predict is that headphones won't necessarily get better as a whole, but I think that the really good stuff is going to become cheaper. That's what I would expect.
Yeah, it's sort of like, I mean, we've commented on this throughout the stream a bit. Is that the rate of development of over-ear headphones it's genuinely quite slow.
Yeah.
But at least we're seeing that the technology that does make a difference, like what you see, like an example would be the Aria. It is getting slightly more affordable. I mean, it's still very expensive, but
Yeah.
the Aria went from nearly $1,700 to I think like $1,200, which is
12, 13, something like that. Yeah.
13,
Yeah.
somewhere around there.
Yeah.
It's around there, but so it is getting at least a bit less expensive.
Yeah.
And you're getting some also like I said this in the one on I review, but after the HD600, after the Sennheiser stuff, between that and $1,000, there wasn't really any other like dynamic driver headphone that I like seriously considered. And now we have the One on I Pro, so there is some stuff there.
Yeah. I just realized we're I'm looking the wrong direction in the stream. We're each looking slightly the wrong direction. I'm gonna change this and look directly at the.
Can I ask you a question? This is very off topic. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Nice shirt, but is it green or is it black? Because it looked kind of green. It looks nice.
It's sort of a greeny. It's a greeny kind of dead inside color. That's.
I see. Speaking of dead inside, we're having this conversation behind closed doors, and this was very serious. Maybe the chat gives some insight. We were talking about who is the Wednesday Addams of headphone reviewers.
Leave it to we'll let the community decide who is the Wednesday Addams.
Yes.
All right, I'll go through some of the more the spicy takes here. I haven't seen anything else that's like truly spice worthy. Spicy question: is inverted polarity audible in IEMs? I don't know, man. I don't give a shit.
The Cesvar cable would make a better IV line than a headphone cable. That's actually true.
Wait, I have one of the cables somewhere around here. Yeah, they look like catheters.
They got to do something about the cables at some point. I mean, even if Ocal did.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Has either of you listened to the IE200 yet? Yes, I have, but I'm not allowed to talk about it until the graphs are out. I think I posted the graphs in our Discord. But yeah, I think there's a reviewer embargo until sometime soon. I don't know when that actually lifts.
That's a cue to join the Discord, by the way, which is in the description.
Yeah. Yeah, so the graphs are out, done, like the gross measurements are out for the IE200 already. And the measurements are like the style of tuning that they go for is similar to the IE600, but a little less aggressive in the treble. That's like it's a little more relaxed in the treble. That's sort of what they go for. I will say what I appreciate about Sennheiser's IEM tunings is they are a little bit more relaxed for the upper mid range. So they're sort of like the anti-shout, slightly V-shaped kind of presentation that they got going on. Not unlike, I mean, I found the IE600 to be a little bit too spicy for like personally, a little too zingy there. But they're not unlike. I'm just thinking of like the Symphonium Meteor. There's a similarity there as far as being a little more relaxed in the upper mids. You got to listen to the Meteor, man. I think you'll like it.
Me?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just let them out. I'll give them a listen.
I don't know who. I think. Okay. I think Taryn has them right now. It's one of those where I'm not. I don't think I'll have any luck trying to steal them off of his desk because he enjoys them so much. All right, let's keep going.
By the way, the reason why I'm like confused when you say you is because if you guys haven't figured it out, we're on Discord. Mike webcam is on, but his isn't. So I can't actually see him saying like you.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, when you say you, I'm like, is he talking to the chat or to me? So,
but we tried it before, and that's because all the technology broke when I tried to send the video stream to two different places at once.
Blame it.
There's a way to do it.
It's not about skill or Discord. It's about the headphones.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So let's see. For 2023, Hifiman is moving all the headphones to the stealth magnets. Wouldn't surprise me. There's more to all of that stuff than what I think people realize. Like when it comes to like headphone manufacturing, stuff like that I think happens because if they're gearing up for a certain type of manufacturing process, it becomes cheaper. If you're thinking about like even if like the stealth magnets thing is better than what they were doing before, right? It becomes easier and cheaper to mass produce or to produce that stuff at scale than if they were to do two different types, of manufacturing process for different things. Now, I'm not saying specifically to do with stealth magnets, but you get the idea. So it wouldn't surprise me if, and I don't have any insider information there, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if they were doing that. Super. Okay. There are no videos on YouTube of cable memers blind testing their assertions. I'm not aware of any either. We have a video coming out soon though about cable meming and whether or not cables make make an objective, measurable difference.
You know, I haven't tried headphones with. This is something I'm interested to see in personally. I haven't tried the different cables for headphones just because I mean they're genuinely so expensive. Some of them. You're
Yeah,
paying like $500 for a cable, right?
$1,000 even I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah. But on guitar, I've listened to differences. Like something like a Fender cable versus a Mogami cable. That changes the sound a bit. So
See,
I'm curious to see if there's anything similar. I'm
yeah,
not sure, but
I can spoil a little bit for headphones. Now, I don't, I'm not talking about interconnects necessarily here, but for these noodles, it is absolutely theoretically possible for there to be objective, measurable, and perceptual differences. And we did measure one that has an objective difference, but that's also with headphones, with certain types of headphones. So a lot of it, cables comes down to impedance. As do many things, but you can basically, for the same reason that, like, say if you have like some of the Focal headphones and a high output impedance source, it sort of down tilts the whole thing because the headphones don't have a linear impedance curve. That's the same reason why you could get a potential perceptual difference and measurable difference with certain types of cables, depending on the cable as well. So it's all about impedance and the relationship between impedance and of what's going on with the cable and whether the headphone itself is low impedance. So for the RAL headphones, for example, they're effectively no impedance, and there's some IEMs that are really low impedance as well. Campfire Andromeda is one that comes to mind. You can absolutely have cables that will make a measurable difference in those scenarios, but I don't think that there's anything extra magical about that. It's just that this is a physics thing. Okay, let's move on. Okay, here's a question for you, Chrono.
huh?
K712 Pro, this is AKG, I think, is
Yeah.
nearly as good as the HE800S for gaming. Now, I don't know if you've heard the K712 Pro, but this kind of dovetails into my question for you, which is, how like we like the HE800S for gaming,
Yeah.
but there's that narrative or that idea that like the HE800S is like an artificially enhanced sense of Soundstage, and so therefore it might actually not be as suitable for something that is, maybe a little bit closer, not as expansive. What's your sort of thought on that?
The thing is, you could say it's a bias here, or just like my opinion. I've never found the HC100S to be particularly exaggerated in its soundstage presentation. I know some people say it sounds artificial, but when I think of if you think about yourself in a room with musicians around you without any processing or mix, right? It is sort of what I would expect it to sound like, if I'm being honest, or what I've experienced it to sound like. So I always found the soundstage presentation, if anything, to be quite natural and precise on the HC100S.
Right.
So
The people
yeah,
who say that are just wrong.
no, that's just been my experience,
Yeah.
right? Like,
It's okay. We could throw shade at those people. No, I'm just kidding.
no. I respect.
So the comments after
all
this are
opinions.
just going to be.
No, please don't throw the pitchforks at me, please. Why are you instigating this fire?
Because we're in spicy hour now.
So you just want to put me on the pot with all the the sriracha.
Put myself on it. Put myself on the sriracha pile. Okay.
Actually, just one more thing on the headphone cable thing.
Yeah.
I feel like the thing is, like, for the people who are really delicate about their chain, they choose the cables, they choose the amp, the tubes.
That's a nice way of putting it.
They'll choose the DAC. It's not. I feel like it's not that different from EQ, but I feel like where it could get a little frustrating. I mean, they have I think some of the people who are really into that they have a romanticized view for which is great, right? Like, you want to try it's just like my analogy to guitar would be like trying different pickups on a guitar. It's a humbucker, but it sounds a little bit different, whatever. Or like you're trying to make it sound different, whatever. for me, if I was doing it, I'd be really frustrated. I was looking for a cable that I don't know exactly what it's changing. One, I have to know that I don't know if it's changing something. Two, I don't know what it's changing. Now, there are some cables out there that have specific filters. Like you'll see an HD100S cable that has a 10K filter on it. So it's doing EQ. That's why I would find it really frustrating, because then you spend a lot of time matching something that's it's not that it's intangible, it's just that it's not outlined or detailed.
So
Just
the failure is in the marketing of this stuff because it doesn't actually give you the information that you need to be able to, you know, predict
yeah.
what it's going to do, if it does anything at all.
In my opinion, assuming that it does anything at all, which it could, like you mentioned, the impedance, is that you don't even really know what you're getting, because
Yeah,
they're not yeah, you know,
I know what you
they're
mean.
not labeling exactly what it does.
And the marketing engine around a lot of this stuff is based around fidelity, right? Or like some sense of like it's going to open up everything. It's going to, you know, like this create this extra magical sense of something, right? And yeah, I'm with you. Like I think there's, you know, like a lot of source equipment is marketed as being like reference class, or like it's perfectly linear across the board. That's what everybody goes for. I think, well, why not have something that is downward tilted? Like just
Yeah.
a flat. I mean, that's kind of like what the DMS amp is all about. But like, why not? And then market it like that. Say this is what this amplifier does. This is not a linear amplifier. This is a downward tilted amplifier. If you have headphones that are brighter and you want to down tilt them, you can use this amplifier. There's nothing. I think that's how it should be, right? If you're gonna like put some sort of coloration in there, market like do the marketing around that. Tell people what's actually going on with this thing, so they can then predict it and make their purchase around that.
Yeah, and I feel like doing the cable swaps and the tube swaps and the amp swaps and EQ are just ultimately two different schools of EQ. Because actually, I was just reading a comment that Metal said here, is that people who hate EQ think it's not pure, except chances are that the recording you listen to has lots of EQ applied to it. And actually, I was just remember in one of our Slack channels, I shared a video where I actually recorded my guitar playing with
Yeah.
it was a Shure SM57 and a Sennheiser E609. To make it sound, I thought, natural or pleasant, that recording had tons of EQ on it. It
Yeah.
wasn't the raw guitar amp recording. So a lot
Yeah.
of this stuff goes through digital post-processing and EQ anyways,
Yeah.
which is true. So it's like there's not much use fighting it. Like, it's been there. Somebody's tampered with your sound before it even gets to you. You know what I mean?
So purists
So
just go to the recording studio and punch the engineer.
you could do that, but
They get mad at me, but really they're getting mad at the wrong person.
yeah. Again, don't shoot the messengers. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I try to be open. Like, I think there can be differences. I don't think there has to be conflict between the two different approaches.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, ultimately you do you, but it's just, I think that from the more analog side of things, it'd be nice if there was a bit more thorough testing and labeling of information put out there for those products. You know?
I completely agree, but I think it's because of the sort of like personal, the fact that this stuff is it's uniquely dependent on personal experience with the equipment, that I think that the marketing kind of inertia behind a lot of this stuff, it's based on the fact that you can get away with a lot, you know. And I see some I mean, getting whether it's intentional or not, you can use language that's going to speak to that sort of personalized aspect of things, and then you have people online who are sort of kind of like, we say maybe it's copium or whatever, but like a lot of it is like justification for that. So it's kind of like a symbiotic relationship between the people who are putting that stuff out there, and then also the community. And I think it would be great if there's sort of a change injected into that, where the marketing language is based around real tangible change, and also that the products can deliver real tangible effects as well. And that's why it's cool to see the DMS amp concept, you know, and stuff like that. I love the shit audio Lokius as a concept, right? I haven't gotten to evaluate one because They're apparently in high demand, but like I love that there's stuff out there that's just like, yeah, let's do a bunch of filters to actually tangibly change the sound. The IFI stuff is another example with the X bass and stuff like that. I love that stuff.
Yeah, like the stuff that they're specifically making
Yeah.
for things like the HC6.
And they tell you it's literally called X bass. So like more of that would be great, I think, because then we can we can kind of emerge out of this out of the nebulous sort of vortex of madness that surrounds the ill-defined aspects of this hobby. But to get back to the spicy question here, here's okay. I want to get your take on this. Placebo is the strongest factor in headphone amps, DACs, cables, blind tests reveal all. Now you've had the chance to listen to a bunch of different source equipment. Do you find there to be any, apart from the tube amps, right? If you're talking just solid state, where's your head at with that?
This is the kind of question that makes me want to sign out of Discord right now. I've experienced very little variance, at least within solid state, if I'm being completely honest. There was a moment in time where I took my HC100S and just a JDS Labs Atom with me because I was traveling abroad for a few months. That's why some videos had a different background. And I honestly never did I think, oh, this sounds worse than listening through like any word. I didn't feel like I was particularly missing anything when going from something like a Phonitor XC, which is what I was using at the moment. Right now I'm using a benchmark HPA4, I think.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. And the screen broke, so I can't even see what TV output it's at. So there's that.
You pull the connectors out or something?
No. I woke up one day and I turned it on and the screen just went black. I swear. But I can still use the volume knob, so there's that.
Okay.
But yeah, within solid states, there's honestly so little variance, which I don't think it's like I don't mean to say like, oh well, these high-end amplifiers are bogus. They're great. It's just that I feel like it's more like the low-end stuff has gotten really good. Yeah. Like really like the affordable stuff has gotten really, really good. I'm a big JDS Lab stan. I think they do great stuff, and there were times where like if I had to be completely honest,
you always have to be completely honest.
I'm sorry if I don't know if I should, but there were times where I was like, or there was a time where like, for example, when I got the Phonitor, first got the Phonitor sent out to me as like a unit, it was like, well, I need to have a big amp so people know it's a good, so they know that it's a good source. Right?
They're not going to goalpost shift on you. Like this guy's only listening off JDS.
So they're not going to try to make the discussion about the amp.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, so it's almost there for show, kind of. I mean, it sounds brilliant. Great amplifier. And there's some headphones that have needed, for example, there's been a difference. For example, the Sysvara sounded better off the HPA4 as opposed to like the Phonitor.
But that's
right.
I mean that's
current
bass versus voltage bass, and there might be some changes there.
Yeah, so those are the differences. But in terms of sound quality, in general, for the most part, for 90% of the headphones I've listened to, solid states haven't made that much of a difference.
Yeah.
And I know that's controversial, whatever. That's just been my experience, man. Like, if you have a different experience, I mean, I respect it. Tube amps was a different story. Like, that was, I want to have a Forge. I really want the Forge. I wanted a Forge for Christmas, and Santa didn't drop it down my chimney. It just didn't happen, right? So, like, basically, I want the Forge, in case that wasn't clear, but I want the Forge. With two amps, I did experience the difference. Going from the Forge to the Felix Audio Euphoria, and also the Wu Audio, the little cube one. I can't remember, WA7.
The Fireflies.
Yeah, it's the Fireflies. Yeah. That one's different. Yeah. So those did have a bit more unique character to them, and I wouldn't even necessarily say they were better. They were different, and it just happened to be. I would say that it just happened to be something that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And again, like the Forge came with two different sets of tubes, and that made a difference too. So.
Yeah, well, and one of the benefits too, though, I think that it's so easy for us to sort of, or people who are in this hobby to get sort of caught up in the fact that something costs more means that they need to find that, a particular difference. And this I think ends up creating this sort of confounding variable. Now, here's the more philosophical question, which is, we'll get off this topic in a second, because I think you and I agree. But the more philosophical question is, for the person who buys a high-end amplifier and they spend a bunch of money on it, and they're now paying more attention to things that they weren't paying attention to before, because they feel like this should contribute to it sounding better, or even just the fact that there's a larger box that they have on their desk, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that their experience is better for having done that, or do you think that they're, basically, how much, we're talking about like sort of psychoacoustics and placebo and whatnot.
Look, let me tell you something, right?
Yeah.
There are some things that you'll immediately tell that make the difference. There's things that come through my desk, headphones, sources, whatever. They immediately make a difference.
Oh, like the tube amps that you tried, the Forge and the Felix.
And other things that genuinely don't, and that's just a pain in the ass, because then I'm sitting there, and instead of enjoying my music, I'm looking out for different things. Like, I shouldn't have to look out. If it makes a difference, I shouldn't have to look out for it. Yeah. I should know right away, and I will know it right away if it makes a difference. You know what I mean? So it's, that's sort of my deal. So for me, that's just not worth it. And we all have different approaches to it. Like for me, I've said this in the previous streams I participated in, which was, for me, convenience is a big thing. So having extra desk space, I appreciate a compact amp, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's something that, for example, I was talking about the Forge. Like the Forge takes up so much of my desk space that it becomes a little uncomfortable. I'm not sure if I'm willing to decide. So all those things become part of the experience, if that makes sense. Right. Now, as far as the psychoacoustics, again, I feel like if you have to be listening out for stuff, if we're talking about minutia, it's like, is it really worth it?
Yeah.
It's like, and if, like, for example, like there's so many people who buy like a $4,000 tube amp, and then what they're doing is playing music in the background while they're gaming, and I'm like, was that worth it?
Mm-hmm.
Like as a consumer, I think was that worth it for me?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. I think it is a bit different because us as reviewers, we're not the ones who are actually shelling out the $4,000 or whatever on a thing. So for that, whoever it was who did that, maybe that, whatever tiny little percent minutia change that they're getting or difference or whatever it is, whether it's placebo or not, and in some cases it's not, like with those tube amps, right?
Right.
That maybe that is worth that $4,000 price tag to them, because for them it's like that last little bit that made a headphone that were ordinarily a little bit like on to a headphone that now they're like, oh yeah, this is actually something I'm down with. Now I'm not saying that's how I approach it, but I'm just saying, like, there are people who will spend this kind of money, and then for them they feel that it makes that, it's a small change, but for them they feel that it was worth that investment.
Let me say something, right?
Yeah.
I think that if it works for you, let it work for you, man. Like, you don't need anybody else to love it. If you love it, that should be enough. And that's how you know if it was really worth your money. Yeah. If you can be happy. Like, if I didn't like the Empyrean, but you love the Empyrean, love the Empyrean.
But
you don't need to get me to love it. It's about you loving it.
But see, this is where
actually, there's a gaming analogy for this, which is graphics. It's like there's people who will spend $2,000 on an RTX 4090, which I did, and they'll be like, well, was ray tracing worth it at 4K 120 FPS? I'd be like, yeah, but then there's people who'd be perfectly happy playing on a 1060 the same game. So it's like,
when I was playing competitive StarCraft, I would turn all the graphics to the lowest possible setting because it gave me a competitive advantage.
So I was
like, I don't even give a shit.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out my Valorant graphics settings.
Yeah.
I dropped my Valorant tag in chat. If anybody wants to add me, by the way, I might do some late night Sunday gaming. So there's that.
There you go.
Just saying.
Yeah.
The Valorant games are fun.
Yeah, but just sort of to tie up the what you're talking about is kind of like, the the purchase justification, or when people, on the one hand, on the other hand, it's like people get upset when you say that, you know, you didn't like the thing that they love, right, or that they spent money on. I do think there's an element of kind of like, I'm calling this the copium treadmill, where like, and to me, it's like I can kind of like look back, and I can almost kind of like point the finger at myself in a sense, like for like back when I first got into the, like back in 2008 or 2010 when I first got into this world. The copium treadmill is a little bit like, there's a thing that you bought that's better than what you had before. So, or for whatever reason, right? You enjoy it more than the thing you had before. And so now you're like, oh man, this thing is dope. I have to tell people about it. But never mind the fact that there's this other, the rest of the landscape that's out there where maybe something else is actually even better for you that you haven't tried. But you need to, you feel that like urge to kind of like set, I don't know, communicate your, you know, how awesome this thing is. And I empathize with that, right? Because it's like you want to share your experiences with another thing. So when you come across, you know, Chrono over here saying the Empyrean's not as competitive as something else, right? People haven't necessarily heard all of the stuff that we've heard. And so, you know, I empathize with the copium treadmill in a sense, because it's like, I don't think we could ever expect people to have that kind of, you know, breadth of different, you know, having heard different things. Some people have, but, you know, not for everybody.
But yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there's a point where it almost feels unfair what we do, because we are here judging these things with all, but we have everything to try, almost everything to try, right? So
except for Stax. God damn it.
And ZMF. Those are the two that we love and we just cannot get our hands on. But if you're listening.
Yeah.
So, but you know, a lot of it comes down, I think a lot of the hobby, your experience in the hobby will come down to your mentality. And that applies to any hobby.
Yeah.
For me, guitars, right? Like, look, like this is gonna sound snobby, but like I like my vintage reissued custom shop guitars. Like I have a Fender 61 black Strat that looks like John Mayer's, and I have a 59 ES335 from Gibson, if anybody knows what that is. And people will say, well, the Epiphone version sounds the same as the Gibson, and the which is, and you know, that's like a quarter of the price.
Just
and
with a
like
big board in the middle.
and like the Fender Mexican sounds the same. And I'm like, that's great, but this is what I enjoy, and I'm genuinely just happy with it. And these are my preferences, and this fit it. Therefore, I'm happy with it. You know,
some
if you
people
have something different, if you have something different to say, you know what? I respect it.
Yeah.
But this is just my jam. That's what it comes down to.
This is how some people feel about the Empyrean, and you know, when you said you didn't like it, you just broke their hearts. No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't mean to. It's just I'm trying to think. You know, it's hard, right? Because we were talking about like we have this target, and then from that target we have deviances, and within those deviances there are tolerances, and we have to think, well, if this is a target that's according to research suiting a majority of listeners, then we have to deem it safe or unsafe. Yeah. And you see this in everything. It's like I know, like mouse reviewers or keywords reviewers, like, well, the shape of this mouse is unsafe or something like that, right? So like you shouldn't buy it. So it's similar to that, but you know, everybody will have a different jam. All we can do is share our experience and sort of guesstimate. Yeah. But ultimately, you know, and now I think what my recommendation would be, like, find a reviewer whose preferences align with yours. Be it sound or build or aesthetics,
or even just the things that they care about, right?
Exactly.
Some people care about soundstage, others care about dynamics, some people care about timbre, you know, like some people don't at all.
Yeah, and then you'll find, and then the information you find online will become 10 times more valuable. And remember, the most important thing at the end of the day will be your end experience with a given product.
Yeah, I have that same sort of attitude towards the whole EQ debate as well, and I mean, and to a certain extent with, you know, headphone targets and things like that, frequency response, where people have very different ways of navigating through this hobby, right? Like they're on completely different paths through this hobby, and there's nothing to say that one path is the correct path, another path is the wrong path. There's, you know, all kinds of different journeys through it. I think some of them are more expensive than others, or unnecessarily expensive. But that's a different question. I
would say if you can afford it, you may, good for you. Treat yourself. You do you. Kind of that is that kind of deal, I think.
Yeah.
You know. So.
Yeah. Okay. I have something for us to do, which is predictions
Oh
for
no.
2023. No, that
Oh,
doesn't need to be anything crazy, but just like prediction, like specific predictions, not like headphones are going to get better or worse, but just like because that was one of the questions. But like, um, let's go with brand predictions.
who are
Where we
we
could
starting with?
let's go with because I have no idea what's going to happen. Usually headphones get released. Well, it depends on the brand, but there's often big releases that happen before large trade shows, so they can like can jams and stuff like that. Um, so sometimes they get released in the fall, sometimes in the spring. But um, let's say, okay, if you had to predict if that a new Hifiman headphone would come out, what do you think would happen with Hifiman?
I can't.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking, it's interesting because they've been getting into closed back and wireless, and I think for me the question would be whether they continue down that route or if, and this is the big question, they go with a new open back kind of flagship design.
It's difficult because Hi-Fi at every price point feels a little bit saturated. There's so many Hi-Fi headphones, and they're great. But at least of the open back offerings, there's so many. I mean, you have the Edition XS, the Ananda, the Aria, the like HE400 SE, the Sundara. You have like HE6, but like the new version that sounds different, and then you have the
Yeah,
HE1000 V2, which is also under $2,000. So it feels sort of saturated to me in the open back uh, segment, right? Um, the only thing I could see them going for is either continuing the route that they're going with, which is the close backs, like dynamic driver variants, and wireless technology, um, or they come up with something new in the $3,000 bracket.
oh
That would be
yeah,
exciting, but I doubt because now the A21000 V2 has been moved from that. They might want to fill that in a bit more because now it's like A21000 V2 and then Cesvaro, right? That's kind of like how you look at it.
I have a
So
bold
it's
prediction for Hifiman. I don't know. Oh, sorry, I
oh
didn't mean to cut you off. Continue.
no, so it's just I think from them I expect more of the same, just because they have so many products out there.
Right. So related to that a little bit, um, because they have, in my opinion, Hifiman has planar headphones sort of figured out. They have, as you said, they have products at every different price point, and they kind of dominate in a certain sense in some of them. Um, for planars specifically, um, I think because of that, the bold prediction for me is Hifiman's going to try and release a high volume, low budget gaming headphone. I think that's where they're going to go. I'm not going to say whether it's dynamic or planar, but I would predict that they're going to try and do something in that space because of their success and what they've done, for the rest of, the
I want
audiophile world.
I will want to be the first to try
Yeah.
that.
Now, this is a prediction. Like none, I have zero insider info on any of this stuff, right? So this is just stuff that we're just speculating, right?
This is all shenanigans.
It's just shenanigans. Yeah, this is not like what I think's actually going to happen. Like if I
Yeah.
had money to put down, I would, what do I know? But
Scott said that we're still going to be getting catheter cables with the Hypermans, and I think I can get behind that
yeah,
prediction.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think yeah, probably. But I think that would be like, again, if I'm thinking about what companies are trying to do that are different from their bread and butter to try and branch out a little bit, that would be something for them that would make sense. Plus, they've been experimenting with doing dynamic driver stuff now, close back stuff. So maybe this is all pointing in a direction. Odyssey. What's your prediction for what Odyssey is going to do?
They won't be in stock. Um, what I'd like to see from them, it's not really an expectation more than really what I like to see from them is a refresh of their. I mean, what is the LCD3? Where's that? But
Forgotten Odyssey.
yeah, what is the Forgotten Odyssey and the LCD3? Maybe I should make a video on it, the Forgotten Odyssey.
Yeah.
Make a history video on the LCD3 since now it's a relic nowadays. But I would like to see like a refresh of their line, just try to adopt that new like LCD5 chassis like we saw in the MM500.
Just with a better headband.
Something that doesn't squash my head. Yeah.
Yeah.
The clamp's pretty tight. I will admit.
Yeah.
I feel like that's good enough because at least for me, like Odyssey has always been like a top tier performer,
Yeah.
in their price in their respective price brackets.
Yeah.
Um, I would like an LCD one closeback to happen still,
I think
like something that's non-gaming
but
oriented, like.
there's the Stax or Edifier version that is essentially the LCD one closed back.
Oh, I didn't see that. My bad.
Yeah, the S something. I forget.
Let me.
Let us know what was the name of the. I don't know the name
Yeah,
of
because I just exposed myself.
it.
I'm trying to look at it right now.
Stax Edifier S1, I think.
What? I don't see that on the website.
Spirit one. No, that's something else.
But yeah, I
Anyways,
would say I would like to see refreshes that adopt the new design from just like their old headphones because the LCD2F and LCD-X are excellent. If the LCD-X got the new chassis, then it'd just be overpowered.
yeah, yeah. I think So I would love to see. This is gonna be like blasphemous, but I would love to see okay, maybe instead of predictions we should go what we want to see.
Like the wish list.
The wish list, yeah, let's make it easier. Yeah. My wish list.
I forgot that this was actually the new stream, the first stream of 2023.
First one, yeah. Yeah. The wish list for me for Odyssey would be an LCD2F that is tuned closest to that's tuned kind of like an LCD X 2021, maybe somewhere in between an LCD X 2021 and a MM500. You know,
Right.
like an MM500 with a little more treble. Let's say that.
Yeah.
And with a magnesium chassis instead of the wood.
Beautiful.
I think that would be,
I get behind that. Like
or a metal chassis of some kind. Yeah.
Yeah, like the LCD. It could be like the LCD2 Lite edition.
The LCD2 Resolve edition. But yeah, no.
Don't get your hopes up.
That'd be my wish list, is to do a collab with Odyssey.
Maybe the collabs, yeah. More collabs from every brand.
Yeah. Okay, let's Sennheiser. Well, we already know about the IE200 coming out, but that was announced.
I feel like they're gonna break my heart, and the HD900 is still not gonna be a thing.
That's your prediction. Okay, so your wish list would be that they come out with an HD900.
Yes, absolutely. It's immediate. That's like a no.
Like an HD800S with better bass. Huh?
That would just be endgame for me.
Yeah.
Like. Like I like their IEMs, so I think that's
their IEMs are very comfortable. They fit. They're so small and they fit incredibly well. For me,
if they manage to make a headphone that has the Soundstage and the imaging of the HD560S, but the tonality and the performance of an HD600, then I'd be like, audio is solved forever and ever.
Yeah.
Nothing else is required.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool if they could manage to make it like a closed back version of the HD560S.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that would be nice. An alternative to the DT770. There's not many dynamic driver closebacks that I really like under $500. So I feel like Sennheiser
cries in K371.
Yeah, but they're so tiny. They're kind of uncomfortable.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. My wish list for Sennheiser would be. My wish for Sennheiser would be HD to come out with something like an HD600 with better bass extension. It doesn't even need to be boosted, but just like, flat bass all the way down.
I dig it. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. But what my prediction is for them, I think no. Yeah, I think no HD900. What I think they might, what would be dope is if they had a revision to the HD820, where they made some major tuning changes.
Oh, that would be awesome.
That'd be so cool.
That would be great because the Soundstage for a closed back headphone. And I actually thought it was more comfortable to wear than the regular HD.
Well, the pads are different too.
The pads are different, so it changed the way the headband sits on your head.
Yeah.
It was really comfortable.
Yeah, so that would be a wish list.
Really nice. Yeah, that'd be so dope.
Yeah. Okay.
Or what if they made a new E-Stat? Like a cheaper version
that'd be cool.
HD1.
I mean, it's tough to know. Yeah, it's tough to say because, like, who knows what Sonova's kind of direction is going to take. You know, what we have seen is that their IEMs have gotten better and better and more competitive. Like with every release, it feels like they've just gotten more and more competitive. So maybe they'll do more there. I don't know.
Yeah, they've been sneaky about it. They were like the black sheep of IEMs, and now they started a pretty good comeback ever since the IE200.
Yeah. So I would like to see them come out with another over year, but you know, who knows? Scott Pledger says 2023 wish list XMEMS IEMs. Yeah. I heard some of them. I heard like because they don't have any. There's no tuning, so it's all DSP, and it's interesting tech. But yeah, other brands. Focal, what's your wish list for Focal? They just came out with some headphones, so I don't know if they will.
Oui, bonjour. Écoutez de la musique. I don't know. Just they came out with quite a few things. They've come out with quite a few things in the last 18 months. So
I wouldn't I don't predict anything from Focal.
The only thing would be like maybe like they refresh the Utopia. I feel like maybe a Stelia refresh is due. I don't know,
like
if
a high impedance Stelia.
Yeah. or maybe they do some sort of revision for like the Batiste. I don't think they would touch this. I don't think they'd touch the Celeste.
I would love to see.
Or they make an unbranded version of the Radiant.
I was just gonna say, yeah. But I don't expect that from them. But I think that'd be really cool. Yeah. Or something kind of like that uses that style of tuning, right? With that.
Focal, if you're here, make a gaming headset.
I don't know if that's really their. Yeah, I don't know if that's their zone. But yeah.
But there's so many people getting like ZMF made like a gaming cable, so it has a microphone built in for their headphones. I'm like,
I didn't know that.
Why not? You know, if we already said Hifiman make a gaming headset. Did we say Hifiman? Was it Hifiman?
Yeah, that was my wish list. That was my thing. Yeah.
Focal, you go for it too. Just gaming headset.
Yeah.
For the gamers out there.
You know what I think would be cool? Yeah. Wish list for Focal. Given that I wouldn't expect them to release anything, 2023, because 2022 they released 2 headphones. Yeah. And then before that was the Celeste and the Radiance. So they've been doing that. So my wish list for Focal for 2023 is a line of IEMs. Because they have the Spark, I think, but they don't have audiophile IEMs. Like they don't have like the high-end IEMs. So I think that would be cool to do if they.
That would be interesting. Although for me, I think the most exciting would genuinely be like a Stelia refresh, just because the performance you get out of that beryllium driver is.
Could you imagine that driver just like in a shrunk down even further? They do it's like speaker drivers from speakers to headphones and then in IEMs as well. I think it'd be dope. They just make the most dynamic and punchy sounding IEMs.
The beryllium speaker driver IEM.
Yeah.
Well, that could be interesting.
It's just pure beryllium. Yeah.
Nothing but the entire chassis is just beryllium.
Yeah. Okay. What else for over ears that we're familiar with? ZMF. Do you have any wish list for ZMF? The Caldera just came out and the Atrium, so they've been busy.
That I can review them.
My wish list is for a sub $1,000 ZMF.
We've been waiting on that one for a while, haven't we? I remember they came out on the channel about a year and a half ago. They said they're working on it, but then they came out with the Caldera, which was actually over $3K. So I guess it wasn't that headphone. That would be incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, ZMF makes some pretty looking headphones.
They do look nice. Yeah. Okay.
I do wonder where they caught costs though. It'd probably be because I figure a lot of it comes from. I mean, yes, the research that goes into developing the driver, but
well, I mean, it's handmade, right?
Yeah, exactly. Some of the labor and the materials, and it's a fairly small team.
Yeah. So that would be one. I'm trying to think what other brands. We don't have to go over everything because we could be here all night, but
DCA.
DCA. Yeah. Okay, wish list for DCA.
if they could come out with,
I
with a
have
better
actually.
version. Oh, you go first. You go first. I'll let you go first. How about that?
I would love a large diaphragm open back DCA that's under 2000. Like, you know how the Ether open back and then the Ether 2?
No way. I was actually gonna say like I would like to see a better version of the Ether 2 accompanied by closeback.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's what I'm thinking.
Like
Yeah, 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 yeah.
a better version of like the Ether C
Yeah,
CX.
yeah, like sure, yeah. An update to that. I wasn't a fan of the Ether 2. Like I no matter what I did with the pads, I couldn't get the tuning to be right. But
Yeah.
but it was super comfortable, right? Like super duper comfortable. So if they could do something like that in a closed back, you know, just maybe a change to the tuning, I'd be down for that. That'd be my wish list there. What
Yeah.
else?
Because they do make some very comfortable headphones actually.
Yeah, DCA and Meze make some of the most comfortable headphones, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe we gotta reach to the chat here for other brands. I mean, should we talk about IEM brands? But then it gets like ridiculous. Bear Dynamic. Bear Dynamic.
Oh.
I want Bear Dynamic to make a warm planar.
You're just asking them to become a different brand altogether.
Yes.
You're asking for Odyssey. Like just
Yes.
go buy an Odyssey
or ZMF. Yeah.
Yeah, or a ZMF.
Yeah. Exactly.
From Biodynamic, man, a DT990 with a treble filter.
Oh, and sub bass instead of upper bass bloat.
Yes, that would be great.
This is just a different headphone entirely.
They have a great driver, don't they? They just
the
tuning's just off.
Yeah.
The tuning's just off.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. So yeah, something affordable from ZMF. Yeah. See, Moondrop. Have you listened to that many Moondrop? Oh, you used the Blessing too.
And the SA8.
S8. Yeah.
Is it S8 or SA8? I forgot.
S8. S8. Yeah.
S8. Yes. Yes. I've listened to the Blessing too.
My prediction for them is that they're going to come out with another over ear. But Wishlist,
really?
I think they're moving the high value, chi-fi segment into over ears. They're leading the charge there for sure.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I know that the Venus video just went up on the channel today.
Yeah, and they also had the Void, which is a great name for a headphone. That's sort of it speaks to my soul. It's just absence. All the great names for headphones. Void, Abyss.
Moondrop has an E-stat coming. It's a super.
Yeah. So that wouldn't surprise me.
That is true.
Yeah. Oh, Jamie's here. What's up? Yeah. So okay, I would love a Moondrop Variations that's not shouty. But more stuff from Truthier. That's my wish list. Someone mentioned it earlier. A down tilted Hexa, like a Hexa Dusk. That'd be dope. But you haven't heard that one, so.
No, actually, I have to admit I'm not the most experienced with IEMs because most of them don't fit comfortably into my ear.
Oh, brand we missed, Meze.
Meze. That's interesting. Yeah. You know what? If they could get like a lyric that was open back, with a tuning that was not too unlike the 109 Pro. There isn't really, I feel like a Meze in that price range that's open back. I feel like that'd be cool.
I mean, it's close to the Empyrean though, but the tuning is different.
Yeah, but the Empyrean's another $1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like if there was something there like an open Mac and it performs similar to, at least for FR, if it performs similar to the 109 Pro, that could be quite interesting, I think. Using that like cut down version of the Renaro driver.
Smaller, lighter, Man, I still think like the Lyric it's like the best looking headphone ever. Like I like the look of the 109 Pro as well.
It's very elegant. It's quite
It's
it's
yeah
it's simple. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
yeah yeah.
Yeah. Actually,
Um,
which are the top five most beautiful looking headphones?
okay, let's go. And this will be the last question. We're going for. I'm getting hungry. I'm also out of drinks. Okay. But top five best looking headphones. I'll let you go first if you unless you're still thinking.
The ZMF Verite. Actually, no. You remember Marcelo, Mr. Photographer?
Yeah.
He had this camphor burl Aeolus
Oh yeah.
or Aeolus,
Yeah.
as some might pronounce it. I don't remember what the official pronunciation is. That's beautiful with like the
Yeah.
brass grills. You can't beat a ZMF.
Right.
Okay, that's the one ZMF pick I have. You can only choose one ZMF. You can't do the other four ZMF because we all know that they look beautiful.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The Noir is pretty cool looking. Yeah, I think so.
Would
The
not have been in my. Yeah.
shape. Yeah.
Okay, so you've got one ZMF, and it's the Verite, the open or the closed?
Verite closed.
I personally think the opens look cooler because they have that sort of like the grill thing.
Fair.
Like my pick for a ZMF is for looks is actually the Auteur because I love the way that grill looks.
Yeah, it's quite beautiful.
Yeah.
It's got like a vintage look to it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like when I owned it, I didn't appreciate it as much as I appreciate it now when I see like photos of it. Like, oh man, that looks dope. Especially with some of the custom woods. So that'd be my pick for best looking. I still think that the Lyric is the best looking headphone because it speaks to me in unique ways.
Yeah, because it's black. Yeah, I get it.
It matches my dead inside.
Yeah, it's the aesthetic.
Yeah, so I would go Meze Lyric, Meze 109 Pros on that list. I don't know where, but it's definitely on that list. I love the way that looks. ZMF Verite. No, sorry, ZMF Auteur. Or Auteur.
Sure.
Yeah. Do we go with an Odyssey?
They can be very nice looking. Genuinely, yeah.
Which
one do you choose?
I like the look of the MM500, even though it doesn't fit me. So that's what a gunmetal kind of black on gray.
Yeah, it crushes your head, but it looks pretty.
Yeah,
that's what counts.
It's yeah. Super says it here. HD 820 is a sick looking headphone. I agree.
Yeah, it does look very nice.
Yeah.
So mine would be the Verite Close in Camphor Burl. The Noir, the Radiance, I think.
Oh yeah, right. I guess you can't. Focal has to be on that list somewhere. The Utopia. Utopia is amazing looking.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with the Radiance over the Utopia in terms of looks. I really like the LCD2 with the. Was it Shedua? Shedua wood. Yes. Man, I already chose an Odyssey, but I was gonna say the LCD5 looks pretty cool with the tortoise.
Yeah, except I picked the MM500 over LCD5 for looks just because the LCD5, the resin looks like or whatever that acetate is. It looks like my grandmother's glasses. Like it has that.
Oh come on, man! That's what my Ray-Bans look like. They're tortoise colored.
Yeah.
Don't hate like that. I would say like the Meze Elite.
Oh yeah, that is.
It's pretty elite looking.
I like the look of the Lyric more than the 109 more than the big open back planars.
Well, but you mentioned the Lyric, so I wanted to be a little bit more original than that.
Yeah, that's
fair. What if I said the Headphone? Would you believe me?
No.
Yeah, no, I'm capping.
Okay.
That's cap.
That's cap.
No Headphone.
Yeah, no, actually the new Utopia has got to be high on that list as for me as well.
I hate to admit it, but it's won me over. The countertop HC600.
Oh, really? Oh, gross.
Yes. The marble countertop HC600.
See, it's funny because when I was first getting into the hobby, the only reason it was a 650 I was listening to, and I love the sound. And this is before I'd heard the 600, and before I'd heard anything good really. I loved the sound. I hated the way they looked. And this wasn't the marble countertop one. It was just like the shape of those. I was like, I hate that. Now I look back at it's a classic shape, and I love it. So my tastes have definitely changed for.
You know, the HT600 stuff, it looks so much like a headphone. Like, you look at it and like, that's a headphone. Like, it's just a headphone. Yeah.
Yeah, extra regular. And see, that's what I appreciate about it now, is that it's a no nonsense, like, just, it's the most like balls to the wall sound quality. Like, just, this is.
You know how there's like you know how there's like sleeper PCs? That's a sleeper headphone if I've seen one. Like, it just looks like any old headphone, and you listen to it and it's like, oof, magic.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love that.
In a nutshell.
And I have to give a nod to the aesthetics of the Sindara. This is also just an extra regular looking headphone. I mean, I've done a bit much with this.
It's clean. It's very clean, very pretty. I like how you can see the magnets through the grill.
Yeah. But as far as I mean, that the chopped carbon fiber of the for the Utopia with the swirl, and it's, in person at least, it's one of the best looking headphones, I have to say.
Yeah. I agree.
We should end the stream because we've been going for 2.5 hours. But thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks for joining us. As usual, if you guys want to connect with us and just tell us that we're wrong about things, join us on Discord. That's the best place to do that. But also check out the audiophiles if you want any written reviews, written articles. We do feature articles as well. There's actually a feature article. There's a recent one. I can't remember what it was. But anyways, we do feature articles as well, educational stuff. And we will see you. We'll see you guys in the next video. Actually, I just want to give a note to folks on the live stream. And actually, I'm not sure if I mentioned this to you, but I am going to be on vacation next week. So there'll be videos in the pipeline, but I'm heading actually to Mexico, of all places.
Arriba.
Yeah, so that should be fun. Other than that, we'll see you guys in the next one. And big thanks, of course, to Chrono for joining. So
have a good evening, everyone.
Have a good night, everybody. Figure out how to end the stream. All right.
Wait, did you click end?
No.
Oh, howdy.